Delivered by TriStar Movies. I'm also wondering if today is going to be NHL schedule release as the Predators taking on the Carolina Hurricanes. I'll just say this, though. I'd leave Monday night open if I were you guys. I'll just say, I'm not saying anything. I'm not breaking news, right?
Monday feels right.
Monday? Do you have plans Monday night?
I'm watching the Preds game.
Well, I didn't know there was a Preds game Monday night.
If there is a Preds game Monday night.
If there is a Preds game
That's what I will
Monday
be
night.
doing.
Oh, okay, all right. Okay, I just wanted to, I don't have any plans Monday night. I am leaving Monday night open. Ian, do you have plans Monday night?
Not that I know of.
Okay, so I wouldn't make any plans Monday night if I were you. Monday night's a nice night to leave open. Spend time at home on the couch in front of the TV. I think, doesn't wrestling come on Monday nights?
That sounds about right.
Okay.
Monday Night Raw or whatever that is.
Yeah, slam down, throw down.
That's probably what I'll be doing.
Oh, yes.
Every Monday.
Who's your favorite?
The big guy with the long hair who's always sweaty. That one.
Triple H?
Yep, him.
Does Triple H still wrestle?
Yes, he's my favorite.
So I've become a fan of The Rock. I'm just saying, but I don't think The Rock wrestles anymore. Anywho, I would leave Monday night open if I were you. But let's get to the Titans schedule release because we're starting to see some information trickle out. And I have been on this all day. If you're watching on the stream on Twitter or YouTube or whatever, if you're watching on the stream, you will see me on my phone today. I am not Adam Schefter, but I am consistently checking everything to see, okay, what is the Titans schedule going to look like? Here's what we know. Week 1, Arizona at home, Nissan Stadium. Week 4, and now that was released by the league. The league put that out there for week 1. Week 4, at the Jets. Week 6, versus Buffalo. Monday Night Football against Buffalo. Week 10 at home versus New Orleans. Week 12 at New England. And Week 16, Thursday Night Football at home against San Francisco. Last night, I threw together what I thought the Titans' schedule was going to look like, and immediately I seem to already be wrong. But I think there's going to be a Sunday Night Football game in there. I don't know where. When I put this together last night, just saying, okay, what do I think the schedule is going to look like? I did Sunday Night Football against the Chiefs at home. That made sense to me. I think another thing should be noted is kind of where are the division games going to lie. And so I've got 5 keys to the schedule that I think we should be keeping our eye on. And right now, one of them has somewhat come true. The first thing is I want the rookie quarterbacks early. I want rookie quarterbacks early when they don't know what's going on and they're just trying to read a defense and they're trying to figure it out before they get in the rhythm. So Zach Wilson is
Week 4.
Week 4. That's perfect.
I like that.
That's perfect because you're going to have 3 games of tape on him, so you will be able to study him and probably fire things at him that you haven't used yet in the first 3 games that he's not prepared for. So I like that. Again, the rookie quarterbacks. Jacksonville has a rookie quarterback this year. The Jets have a rookie quarterback this year on your schedule. New England might have a rookie quarterback this year. Again, they're later in the schedule, week 12, so that, kind of throws that out of the mix. Houston, if they go with Davis Mills over Tyrod Taylor, Houston may have a rookie quarterback. So I really want to see the rookie quarterbacks early or early in their tenure. I got a little excited. I'm not going to lie. When I see Week 16 San Francisco on a Thursday night, first of all, my guess is San Francisco will fly in. I don't know who else they play in the AFC South at home, on the road. But I'm guessing it's Indianapolis or something like that. What the league will probably do is they'll probably send them to Indianapolis, and then they'll stay after the Indy game. They'll fly here, and then they'll play on a Thursday night. I hope that they're in San Francisco and they have to fly to Nashville and play on a Thursday night. I'd love it, but Week 16. Could Trey Lance be cracking the lineup at that point for San Francisco?
It's possible, and that scares me because I would rather play Jimmy G if I were the Titans. The Titans know what Jimmy G can do. The Titans have seen ample tape of Jimmy G. They know exactly what his game plan is. We haven't seen Trey Lance play.
Yeah, but you'd rather play a guy who's been to the Super Bowl over Trey Lance?
I mean, there's just no tape on Trey Lance. How do you study for that game? How do you prepare for that game?
They drafted him 3rd overall, so I mean they must have thought something.
Right, so they must have thought something was right.
So again, I'm just
and
saying,
at week 16, I think Trey Lance has gotten plenty of footing.
So I think Trey Lance, if he starts for San Francisco, it will be because their season is over early December, and it's like, we're not going to make the playoffs. We're not that good anymore. All right, let's move Jimmy out. Let's put the kid in. Or, in theory, the kid, the kid could win the job, or Jimmy could get hurt and they have to play him. But, again, week 16 for Trey Lance, if it is, in fact, Trey Lance, I think that's at least worth noting. The second key is I think the Seattle game and the Rams game, I think, are going to be put together. Now, Seattle and Los Angeles are not very close together, but
West Coast.
In theory, I mean, it's easier to get from Seattle to L.A. than it is to go Nashville, Seattle, back to Nashville, back to Los Angeles. And I don't know, what J-Rob will want to do, if he will want the Titans, because they stayed out west a couple years ago, and it was an unmitigated disaster. So I think they're going to pad those games together, though. So I think it's going to be either at the Rams, then at Seattle, or at Seattle and then at the Rams. So I think they're going to put those two games together. So that I really would prefer that to come maybe earlier in the year. Just get the West Coast trip out of the way before all the injuries, before all the bumps, before all the bruises. Because let's say you play Arizona and then you play those two teams and you get the Jets, you should at least be 2-2 through the first 4 games. If they put, versus Arizona at home, at Seattle, at the Rams, at the Jets.
That's
now,
a
I don't
long
think they'll go
road
3
trip.
in a row. That's
a lot. I mean, ideally, in my mind, it would be either Seattle. Was it San Francisco?
Seattle and the Rams.
Seattle and the Rams, wherever that may lie, back-to-back, 2 weeks on the road, and then a bye week.
Sure. Or a bye week, and then those 2 in a row.
Right. Just some sort of rest that pads those 2 weeks, because that is going to be a grind.
The third key of the schedule, and I think this might actually work out. I saw something on Twitter that is not confirmable, so I can't really roll with it, but it had, we have the Jets at week 4, Buffalo at week 6 that are pretty entrenched from what's been leaked out. I saw something that has Jacksonville week 5, and I love that, if that is the case, because you go Jets week 4, Jacksonville week 5, Buffalo. I want padding around Buffalo and Kansas City. What I don't want is I don't want a stretch where it's the Rams, Buffalo, Kansas City, Miami, Indy. Like, I don't want that. Like, that's what I do not want. So I want the ample padding in the schedule around the Kansas City game and the Buffalo game. Now, the Kansas City game and the Buffalo game are at home. Buffalo is a Monday night football game. I think, with no sourcing, this is my gut, I think Kansas City is a Sunday night football game. I wonder how they will put that around the schedule. Again, I could see it being in that week 13 to week 15 range. You've got New England at week 12, San Francisco at week 17. So, again, I want to pad the Kansas City game. So far, you've got Jets, blank, Buffalo. If you can get Jets, Jags, Buffalo, I will feel great about the start of that schedule. But I am watching how they are treating the games around those games, because those are probably 2 of the harder games on the schedule. The next key, I want Houston early. I want Jacksonville early. I know you're not going to get them all early. You're not going to get, week 2 Jacksonville, week 3 Houston, week 4 Jacksonville. But bad teams that everybody thinks they're going to be good, but the bad teams know that they're going to be bad. And then every now and then a bad team, like 2017 Jacksonville, they come out of nowhere, and midway through the season they realize, like, hey, we're actually pretty good. We're not a bad NFL team. Hey, our coach can kind of coach. Now, they started off 2-2, but then all of a sudden they're 10-2. That kind of thing. I don't want any of that. I want to play those young quarterbacks early. I want to play Houston when they know they stink. It does not feel like the Deshaun Watson situation is coming to any sort of a resolution early. I want Houston early. I want Jacksonville early. Now, again, I know I'm not going to get 2 games against Houston and Jacksonville early, but 1 game each against Houston early, Jacksonville early. And then my fifth thought on the Titans schedule, and again, I've put Caroline in charge of kind of searching Twitter to see, what leaks are going to come out of this. I have to assume Indianapolis is week 18. And I don't know if it's going to be on the road, which I would make the guess that it would be, but I cannot imagine the NFL, looking at the way the AFC South is kind of being developed, I cannot foresee the NFL not putting the Titans Colts week 18, even though it may mean nothing, and they know this. Houston and Jacksonville are probably not going to be competitive week 18. The NFL wants those week 18 games because what they really want is they want 3 win-or-go-home games. That's kind of that's how they walk into this. They want 3 win-or-go-home games, and that they can put 1 at noon, they can put 1 at 3, and they can put 1 on Sunday Night Football. But I don't think there's any way you get a win-or-go-home game with Jacksonville or Houston other than like the Titans last year when it was they had to beat Houston. But they want 2 teams playing against each other like the end of the 2018 season when the Titans played the Colts on that Sunday night game, the last game of the year, and Indianapolis won. I'm going to guess, again, making an assumption here, if it is Titans-Colts week 18, I would assume it would be at Indianapolis. And the reason I make that assumption is because they played here at the end of 2018. And so then I think, but this is what throws a wrench into that, is 2019 was at the Texans and 2020 was at the Texans. So I figured they like to be fair. So if you've got, at the Texans one year, then you'd be at the Titans the next year. But the NFL didn't do that. So that's a really strong assumption. I feel 80% confident that it's Titans-Colts week 18. Where it is, I'd say 55% confident. So just a little bit above, not really all that confident. 55% confident that it would be at Indianapolis. But those are the keys. I want the young quarterbacks early. I want Houston and Jacksonville early. I think the Rams and Seattle, I would prefer that be together, and I would prefer get it out of the way, or to your point, Caroline, put it around a bye. I want to see what's around Kansas City and Buffalo. And then, again, week 18, Indianapolis. So, again, here's what we know. Mm-hmm. Arizona week 1 for sure, noon kickoff.
And Mike Herndon tweeted out, who covers the Titans for Broadway Sports, hearing that the Titans will be at Seattle in week 2.
Okay.
So you could say possibly Rams week 3, but you have 2 West Coast games on the road, and then you go all the way to New York in week 4. So that would be kind of a grind.
We'll use that. We'll tread lightly on that one, but
unconfirmed.
We'll operate under the idea that could be the case. Again, we don't know yet officially. What we know is Arizona week 1, at the Jets week 4, Buffalo week 6 on Monday Night Football, New Orleans week 10, at New England week 12, San Francisco at home week 16 Thursday Night Football. We do not know at Indy, at Houston, at Jacksonville, Indy, Houston, Jacksonville, at Seattle, at the Rams, Kansas City, at Pittsburgh, and versus Miami. So those are the ones we're kind of looking at. I believe the Titans will probably be in the mix for one Sunday Night Football game. I would assume Kansas City is the only game on the schedule that would be a possible Sunday Night Football game. But they do, and I know, again, Buffalo is a Monday Night Football game. Mm-hmm. They have a handful of games that could be Monday Night Football games. I think at Pittsburgh could be a Monday Night Football game because Monday Night Football usually likes to take a team that is a popular team, like the Dallas Cowboys. But they would never put Cowboys-Packers or Cowboys-Steelers or, like in this case, Cowboys-Buccaneers, which is kicking off the season. They would never put that level of a game, an A-level game. They won't put that on Monday Night Football. They like to put kind of a popular team and then maybe something that could be a little interesting, I guess, on Monday Night Football. And the Titans are the something that could be a little interesting, I guess, kind of team. I think the Titans, Seattle, the Rams, and Pittsburgh all have the possibility of Monday Night Football games. So maybe they get 2 Monday Nighters. 615-737-1025. We'll get your thoughts. And again, we will be following the schedule release, and I will explain why I think the schedule release matters. Because I think some people say, it's the schedule. It's what it is. I will explain why I think this really matters next. 615-737-1025 is our phone number and our text number. We're live from the Wholesaling Studio, powered by RumbleOn.com. It's Stillman Company. It's ESPN 1025 The Game, and we're streaming on the Game Nashville app.
With the first pick in the 2021 NFL Draft, the Jacksonville Jaguars select Trevor Lawrence, quarterback, Clemson. With the second pick in the 2021 NFL Draft, the New York Jets select Zach Wilson, quarterback, BYU. With the third pick in the 2021 NFL Draft, the San Francisco 49ers select Trey Lance, quarterback, North Dakota State.
With the 15th pick in the 2021 NFL Draft, the six-time world champion New England Patriots select Mac Jones.
So there you go. Trevor Lawrence, Zach Wilson, Trey Lance, Mac Jones. All four could be on the Titans schedule. As, again, Stillman Company, we are kind of awaiting the details. We are awaiting to figure out, okay, what's going to happen now. We do not know. We know San Francisco Week 16. Thursday Night Football. I'm going to guess that's Jimmy Garoppolo. Or at least as I sit here today, I'm going to guess that's Jimmy Garoppolo before I get too excited about the idea of playing Trey Lance. I love, as I brought up in the last segment, Caroline, I love the Jets week 4. We know Zach Wilson's going to be their starting quarterback. We know that means Mike Vrabel will get 3 weeks worth of tape on Zach Wilson. They'll be able to come up with a game plan, probably show Zach Wilson things that he hasn't seen before. What do we think about the other rookie quarterbacks on the schedule? And that also should include Davis Mills, who I think is certainly a part of the equation in Houston right now, where there's Trevor Lawrence. There's going to be 2 games against Trevor Lawrence. There's going to be 1 game against the Patriots, Cam or Mac Jones. By week 12, I'm going to guess Mac is the starting quarterback in New England, and then perhaps Davis Mills in Houston. Do you agree with me that you'd rather face the young quarterbacks early, or would you rather it be like New England, where Cam may start the season as the quarterback for the Patriots, but I think by week 12, Mac Jones is the starting quarterback of that team.
And I think that's the key with New England, is that Cam will most likely, in my opinion, start the season. So if the Titans are getting New England at week 12, Mac Jones probably still, even at week 12, hasn't had a ton of playing time. Mm-hmm. So I like that there. And I made the point earlier that I would rather play Jimmy G rather than Trey Lance, just because the Titans have seen so much more tape on Jimmy G than they have Trey Lance, since he played so few college games. That is the one exception to where I do agree with you that I would rather face the rookie quarterbacks early, get them while they haven't really had a ton of time to gel with the team, to be an NFL starting quarterback. Sure. But Trey Lance is my one exception, and that I would rather play against Jimmy G.
See, I don't understand why you'd rather play against Jimmy Garoppolo than Trey Lance. Now again, this is a week 16 game. If this was a week 4 game, would you feel the same way?
I don't know, because I feel like in week 4, it would have almost been guaranteed that it would be Jimmy G, in my opinion.
True.
Week 16, who knows what could happen? There could be injuries. Jimmy G could just play absolutely horribly. Trey Lance could go in a second half and just light it up, and he becomes the starting quarterback. So anything can happen by week 16. But, I mean, to your point earlier, you said you like having the Jets week 4 because then Vrabel will have 3 weeks to look at film of Zach Wilson.
But I also wouldn't mind the Jets week 1.
Wouldn't mind the Jets week 1, no.
I mean, before the Arizona thing came out, I was hoping for Jacksonville or Houston week 1. Just to start the season with a win.
Easy start to the season.
Just get it on and just go. And I, again, right now, and we had the report that you brought up last segment, perhaps at Seattle week 2 is a possibility.
Those are 2 tough games to start the season.
See, I don't think Arizona. I don't think much Arizona.
I think Seattle will be a more difficult game. Yes.
Arizona, I mean, look, if you lose to Arizona week 1, I have problems. That's one of those ones where, I mean, you should beat the Cardinals at home.
A.J. Brown, Malcolm Butler will be cool to watch.
I'm not so worried about like that. I just don't think Cliff Kingsbury's a very good coach.
I'm not worried about that. I just think that will be a cool matchup.
I don't. To me, I saw Arizona week 1. I said, good, 1-0. Let's go. Just get it going. 1-0, see out the gate. I mean, I don't think J.J. Watt will stay healthy for the entire season, but J.J. will obviously be healthy and available for week 1, so that's the downside of Arizona in week 1. But I saw Arizona on the schedule. I don't think Kyler can throw that well. I mean, I do not think Kyler Murray, he's one of those guys who, maybe a lot like Mariota was, in the sense that, like, Mariota was never really watched by the national media when he was with the Titans until it was like it was season 4 or 5. And it was like, man, Mariota still really isn't all that good. Like, then you wait for that guy to be good. Kind of like how we probably feel about Sam Darnold right now. Like, I think Sam's got a shot. I mean, I think Sam could be okay. I think Sam, let's see what Sam does in Carolina. But if Sam stinks it up in Carolina, then we're going to be like, yeah, Sam Darnold not very good. I think Kyler is kind of in the same boat. I don't think Kyler has been that good of a quarterback in these 2 years that he's been a quarterback. And yes, it's 2 years. And yes, he's got a Titan killer in DeAndre Hopkins on his team. But I don't like the coach. I don't like the structure of the team. And I don't like Kyler very much. So I'm not guaranteeing that the Titans will win week 1. But when I saw that come out, I saw week 1 versus Arizona. I said, I like that one. I worry about, what I really worry about is it kind of mixing and matching. And then all of a sudden you get a really tough stretch where let's say Seattle and the Rams are 2-3. So it's Arizona, Seattle, the Rams at the Jets. Kansas City, Buffalo. It's like, okay, you may be 2-6 at that point and still not be a bad football team. And I worry about that coming down the pipe with the schedule.
And you mentioned DeAndre Hopkins because, that's going to be a tough matchup for whoever he faces. But who do you think that will be? My opinion is
like
Jack Rabbit.
Team. It'll be a triple team.
Yeah.
Like, they will not. I mean, I don't even know who the other guy is over there. Like, they're not going to be worried about it. I'm not. Again, as far as the Arizona game is concerned, they should just beat Arizona. I mean, they should beat Arizona.
Especially at home.
I saw that on the schedule. It's a noon kickoff. Those guys, they're not awake by then. I like that one. I keep looking at the games we don't know. And here's a couple of games that I find to be very interesting. Like, I think we'll all say Buffalo's going to be a tough game. Mm-hmm. Like, the games that you should worry about right now. Wherever Seattle goes, I'm worried about that game. Nobody ever wins in Seattle. They'll probably have fans in the stands. They've got a better quarterback, even though he may not be happy there. And if they double it up with the Rams, I hate those two West Coast swing kind of things. So that bothers me. Then, Kansas City and Buffalo bother me, and the two Indianapolis games bother me. Everything else, like, there's kind of questions with. Miami, is Tua a good enough quarterback? I don't think so. Put that game wherever you want. At Pittsburgh, I think the Steelers have so many problems. So I don't get too concerned about them. Obviously, Houston and Jacksonville, we've been over enough.
New Orleans.
New Orleans and New England are, I think New Orleans, New England, and San Francisco are all, how's New England going to be this year? I don't know.
They're kind of like that middle tier of, like, you have those games that you worry about and you have those games that are like no problem. Like, those are going to be wins. I feel like San Francisco, New England, and New Orleans, since there are so many questions surrounding those teams, that's kind of that middle of the road. Like, could they be wins? They very well could be losses. Kind of like a big question mark surrounding those three games and those teams in general.
So I guess I'm just worried when I look at the schedule that you're going to get all of those all at one time. So then it's going to be like Seattle, the Rams, the Jets, Kansas City, Buffalo. Like, holy crap. Again, you could literally be 2-4. I want the schedule like Indianapolis had last year. I mean, I remember when that schedule came out, I said they ought to be 9-0 to start the year. I mean, it was like Jacksonville, the Jets, Houston, Jacksonville. Even though they couldn't play the Jets again, I'm sure the Jets, Chicago. I mean, it was Indy's schedule last year at the jump was ridiculous, and Indy lost a couple of games they shouldn't. I want that kind of schedule this year, and then you have to go out there and you have to win those games. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. We'll get your reaction. We'll get your thoughts. Again, where are the rookie quarterbacks in this year's draft? Plus, what Tim Hasselbeck says he looks at. We'll get to that coming up. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. Let me tell you about my friends at Edmunds. Buying or selling a car is one of the biggest financial decisions you can make. Edmunds will take the headaches and guesswork out of car shopping for you. They're pros that have been helping people like you and me for over 50 years. Edmunds.com was the first auto information website, and they're experts in buying or selling. Did you know that they test drive over 300 new cars a year? So 300 cars last year, 300 cars this year, 300 cars next year, 300 cars. So if you're thinking that you don't know what you want, or you're trying to narrow it down, instead of having to test drive all the different cars you may be interested in, Edmunds does that for you and then writes reviews, and you can go through them and you can say, okay, well, I definitely don't want that one. Forget about that. I want this one. And then that way you can test drive 2 or 3 cars instead of having to test drive 7 cars. That's one of the reasons why I love Edmunds. Again, over 300 new cars a year. Whether you're just browsing or you know exactly what you want, Edmunds gives you that extra boost of confidence. Visit Edmunds.com to get started. For cars, there's Edmunds.
when I was a player, the first thing I looked for was when my bye week was.
Okay.
The second thing I looked for was where I was around Christmas. Was I home or away? The third thing I looked for was where was I on Thanksgiving? Was I home or away? And then maybe you looked for, like, I know guys in New England would look like, am I playing in Miami in September? Or do I get to play in Miami in December or November? So, like, as a player, those were the things I think you looked at, I looked at, and I know many other players looked at.
That was Tim Hasselbeck as a player on Darren Donigan Chase, talking about what he looked at in the schedule. What do you think we should be looking at? It kind of sounds like when he was a player, he kind of downplayed it. Like, I looked at where I'd be for Thanksgiving. I think I'd looked at, and I think everybody, when you look at the schedule, like, it's all kind of independent for you, right? Like, for example, and I don't know why they decided to do this, and I am not calling them out right now on the air, but I have a pair of friends that decided to get married on a Friday. And so it's a Friday in September. And again, I'm not calling them out. I'm not, hey, everyone's entitled to get married whenever they want to get married. I'll be having my wedding at 3 a.m. in Beirut, so that way I'll make it as difficult for every single person to attend. I'm kidding.
Jeez.
But
am I invited?
But 2028.
Please.
Where
Fingers
would you
crossed.
Be by then, I don't know. But it's like, so they are getting married on a Friday, and it's like, please be a bad team, before a bad team, so
right.
that I can, I don't know why I feel that way, but it's just different if it's like Titans, Colts, big game, and it's Friday, and so like everybody has different reasons that they look at the schedule. Perhaps you want to go to a game. I've always said I am planning to go when the Titans play the Raiders in Las Vegas in that stadium for the first time. I want to see that stadium.
For a calm weekend.
Sure.
Low-key, calm, chill.
I do not like Vegas. I'll be honest.
I've never been to Vegas.
I don't like it. I lose too much. Well, I shouldn't say I lose too much money because I've been there and I've won some money, but I just don't sleep when I go to Vegas. Like, I literally just...
Party animal.
No, it's not even that. Like, say I go with a couple of guys or whatever, they'll want to go out and do the partying thing, and that's fine. But I'm like at the tables. I just play. And then it's like I'm at this really expensive Cirque du Soleil show, and I'm like falling asleep. Like
those are
in
really
the middle
cool,
of
though.
it. They are, but I'm falling asleep because I'm spending all night out there gambling. I'm like, I could just go, up to Louisville and gamble. Anywho, 615-737-1025. We'll get to your text in a second. Caroline Fenton has a problem with the Cowboys being the opener week 1 against Tampa Bay. Why?
Well, okay, so Tampa Bay is an obvious season opener, reigning Super Bowl champions.
Well, that's the rule. I mean, that's...
Yeah. The Cowboys... What the heck have the Cowboys done? It's so annoying that the Cowboys always get so much love just because they're the Cowboys. It's like all the LeBron talk every single day. LeBron could be hurt. LeBron could be retired 10 years from now, and they still talk about LeBron every single freaking day. And I'm sick and tired of the Cowboys always getting so much love just because they're the stinking Cowboys.
But they're the Cowboys.
But they're the okay, so?
They're going to draw mega ratings.
They haven't done anything. I think, okay, if you're going to say you're the season opener, if you're the reigning Super Bowl champions, that's a reward. That is, you earned that.
Right,
and
they
won
want
a title last year.
You matchup. They want a made-for-TV matchup week 1. If they played, so it has to be a home game, and it has to be a marquee opponent. Mm-hmm. If they played Green Bay, right?
I would like that way better than the Cowboys.
But I think they play at Green Bay this year.
Oh.
If they played Green Bay, that could be a week 1 matchup.
For sure.
But I think the only marquee opponents that they play, and the Cowboys, even though they do suck, they are a marquee opponent because they are the Cowboys. The only other option was Buffalo. And the Cowboys are a bigger draw. Even though Buffalo might be a Super Bowl contender this year, and Dallas... Let's just make sure before we start talking about Dallas and whatever comes after Dallas, that it's just not is a joke. Dallas might, or Buffalo may be a Super Bowl contender. Dallas may be 5-12, but Dallas is going to bring huge TV ratings, and that's what the league cares about, kicking the season off. They don't want the Jacksonville Jaguars week 1 on that season kickoff.
Well, no. But, I mean, are the Cowboys much better?
They are for
in
TV.
terms of a name and a brand, yes, of course, 100%. But
that matters.
It's just annoying.
That matters. That's like when Floyd tried to argue Tony Romo wasn't a superstar when he was quarterback of the Cowboys. He quarterback of the Cowboys. Doesn't matter if you're any good. You're quarterback of the Cowboys. You're a superstar. Let's go to your phone. 615-737-1025. Text line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Caroline Fenton, what's in there?
Kevin in Nashville responded to you saying that you're not too worried about Arizona week 1. He said a mobile quarterback that has almost thrown for 4,000 yards in his first 2 years, playing against a team without a pass rush or corners, the Cardinals will be a problem.
So I think the Titans are going to have corners. If there's anything that they actually did accomplish in the NFL draft, it's that they've got corners. I mean, Janoris Jenkins is a starting NFL corner. Christian Fulton's apparently supposedly healthy. Caleb Farley might be healthy. Elijah Molden was taken in the 3rd round. They signed Kevin Johnson. They bring back Chris Jackson, a 7th-round rookie who started a handful of games last year. And that's 6 guys of starting cornerback experience or are rookies that are expected to play right away. I think they'll have corners. The thing about Arizona for me is that deep down inside, I just think they're an average team. Like, I think they are just an average team with a below-average coach, and I don't see average teams with below-average coaches winning games in the NFL. New England, I think, may be a below-average team, and certainly a question mark what they're doing at the quarterback position, but they have a superior coach, and so that scares me. New Orleans, I think, has an okay team. I don't love Jameis Winston at quarterback, but I think we've got to look at Sean Payton and say, hey, this guy may be able to figure something out with Jameis Winston, and New Orleans
or
may
Taysom
be
Hill.
A team. Is it really going to be Taysom Hill?
Maybe.
I don't think it's going to be Taysom Hill.
I don't think it will be week 1, but I do think Taysom will see the field.
I mean, he'll see the field. Like, he's
as a
gonna
quarterback.
play.
As a quarterback.
Like, as the quarterback every snap of the game where it's like, blue 52, hike.
Maybe. Not week 1.
I don't think so.
I don't think week 1.
But even that, like, no regular coach would I worry about this New Orleans Saints team with one of those 2 guys playing quarterback. But because I think we have to look at Sean Payton and say, hey, Sean Payton's a pretty good coach, I say, okay, I look at this and I think, I'm not saying I look at Arizona and I think they're the Jets. I think they've got a nice team. They've got an okay, I know players on that team. I still think they're a mess in the secondary. And what has Kyler done? What has Kyler done in his career? Baker, when the Titans played him week 1 and everybody was bowing down to kiss the feet of Baker Mayfield, he had set a rookie record for most touchdown passes, and even then I was skeptical of Baker Mayfield. So what has Kyler done? How many big games has Kyler won? How many times has Kyler knocked off the Rams or Kyler knocked off Seattle or Kyler, and he's capable of beating the Titans. I just expect the Titans to win that game. What else in the text line?
Another texter texted in and said, remember the last time the Titans played the 49ers late in the season? Jimmy G had just taken over at quarterback, and the 49ers completely changed and played better under him. Could be a similar situation with Trey Lance later on in the year where he injects them with some energy.
I don't think. Not like I think they had won like 6 games in a row. The Titans played horribly. Adoree Jackson dropped a game-winning interception. Mike Mularkey coached stupidly. They did everything they could to lose that game to San Francisco. If Trey Lance plays, let me give you my quarterback confidence for when the Titans play them. So this is the rankings of these quarterbacks, the rookie quarterbacks. Again, we don't know when they're going to play Jacksonville or when they're going to play Houston, or I'm trying to see if there's another rookie quarterback I'm missing. I think that's it. I would say that right now I would fear Trevor Lawrence the most. Like if you had to play, week 1, a rookie quarterback. Trevor Lawrence 1, Mac Jones 2,
Zach Wilson 3.
Zach Wilson 3, Trey Lance 4, Davis Mills 5. That's how I'd rank them. So right now, I'm more worried about New England if Mac Jones wins that job, which I think Mac Jones should win that job because the Brady offense, like Mac Jones, I'm not going to say he can do the Brady things, but he can play a similar system that Brady plays. So you just I worry about Mac Jones getting the starting job and then get a little worried about it. Chris Sanders will join us next. former Titans receiver. We'll get his thoughts on what we know about the schedule so far, what he thinks. How important is the early part of the schedule? We'll ask Chris Sanders all that coming up next, plus what games is he interested in figuring out. Now, Payday presented by Kentucky Kingdom and Hurricane Bay. Listen for keywords at 9, noon, and 3. When you hear it, go to theGameNashville.com and enter the keyword for a shot at $1,000. Stillman Company is delivered by TriStar Moving. It's ESPN 1025 The Game. Caroline Fenton has been working the phones about if there's any more information on the leaked schedule that we are awaiting from the Tennessee Titans. Has there anything new come out? Again, the schedule's supposed to be released tonight at 7 o'clock. Usually us in the media get it about 10 minutes before they actually release it. So far, we have Arizona week 1 at home, at the Jets week 4, Buffalo Monday Night Football week 6, New Orleans week 10 at home, at New England week 12 versus San Francisco week 16.
There are some rumors floating around that Seattle is week 2. Now, that hasn't been confirmed by any of these other sources that have confirmed these other games, but that is the biggest rumor I've seen recently.
And we have a rumor that perhaps Jacksonville week 5, so it would be the Jets, Jacksonville, Buffalo. Chris Sanders joins us now, former Titans receiver. Chris, I want to start with this. As a player, how much did you care about the schedule release or looking at the schedule and what it meant for your team in the season?
Yeah, I mean, I cared about it a lot because, you know, as you're looking at a team and you're getting ready to start the season, you want to make sure you're in position to have a fast start. And that's why I used to really look at the schedule and look at what actually was going on, because I want to make sure that we got a fast start. But with the situation with the Tennessee Titans, I don't think who they play. I just think the Tennessee Titans are going to come out firing on all cylinders.
Why do you say that?
I just think that, you know, a lot of people's been talking negative about the Tennessee Titans, about their draft picks with Farley and all these guys. And I think that in the back of their mind that Mike Vrabel and Jay Robb want to go out and show that this team can be a run for the Super Bowl. So I'm excited. I know I heard through the grapevine, I don't really know the whole schedule, but I think they're playing the Arizona Cardinals.
Yeah,
I know week one, and I know they got some talent. I know they got Kyler Murray, they got Chase Edmonds, A.J. Green, Christian Kirk, all those guys. But I just think that the Tennessee Titans are going to be coming out on full cylinders because they got a lot to prove.
So it's interesting that you go down that road. Chris Sanders is with us because I do think there are a lot of people. The Athletic had their power rankings out, had the Titans ranked 21st, had them ranked behind the Dallas Cowboys and the Washington football team. And I think there's something that Vrabel, you go back through Vrabel's tenure in the 3 or 4 years or whatever it's been since he's been head coach. And it's like every game that they say the Titans can't win. That Tuesday night game against Buffalo where the Titans hadn't practiced for a whole week, everyone's like, oh, Buffalo's going to blow them out. Or when they played the Texans with no offensive tackles, or all these games where it looks like the Titans have no chance, and Vrabel somehow coaches them, to do that. I think, to your point, Chris, Vrabel's going to take a lot of this negativity.
Oh, yes.
That may be his strong suit.
That is. Because he's been through it all his life. He's been through that through high school when they said he's too small and he's too slow, went to Ohio State, that he'll never amount to anything, and then all of a sudden he goes to New England and wins 3 or 4 Super Bowls. So he loves that kind of action. He loves it when people say he can't do anything. So, that's what he's built for. So just looking at this Tennessee Titans team, look at what's going on, what they did in the draft. They said Caleb Farley, they don't know if he's going to be ready. They got Monty Rice, all these guys that the Tennessee Titans have selected. They keep saying there's no way, and their draft was terrible. And then on the flip side, they even said that Dupree was the worst pick in the free agency. So you don't know. Mike Vrabel and those guys are hearing all these things. Mike Vrabel, you don't think the players are hearing these things? They are going to chomp at the bit to beat the brakes off of the Arizona Cardinals. So, even though the people are saying these things, in that locker room, they're believing something else.
Chris Sanders is our guest. How important is the early part of the season in terms of the opponents the Titans get? Right now, we know Arizona week 1 at the Jets week 4. The Jets are going to have a rookie quarterback. We know the Jets probably aren't very good. I would hope, and there's a report that Seattle might be week 2, I would hope that you maybe get some easy games early. I'd like the Houston Texans early this year.
There's no easy games.
That's right. I forgot. They're all NFL players. But I think I'd rather play the rookie quarterbacks early in the season. For example, New England is week 12. If Mac Jones is the starting quarterback of the Patriots, he'll have enough time. I think by week 12, he won't really be a rookie anymore. You've played with guys like that. You played in the NFL. How much does that matter, where the schedule lies in terms of maybe how you do during the course of the season?
Yeah, that's a good point, because if you start going against these rookie quarterbacks, you got to look. They're not going to really play too many games in the preseason. I don't know if they're going to have any preseason games anyway. So the real live experience is going to get the first game, or first or second game, if they play against the Jets. I don't know the schedule, but if you're getting a rookie quarterback, he's going to struggle. You want to catch these teams or these rookie quarterbacks while they're struggling early, because later on down the road, when they start playing consistent games, then they're going to get better and better. So I think if the Tennessee Titans start getting these rookie quarterbacks like back to back, number one from Jacksonville, the Jets, and they start playing those guys, and those guys starts to struggle, because if your quarterback struggle, you're not going to win any games. So if the Tennessee Titans can put pressure on him and have them make mistakes, it's advantage Tennessee Titans.
Chris Sanders is our guest. Couple of games I want your thoughts on. Week 12 at New England. So later on in the season, Belichick, maybe Mac Jones is the starting quarterback. Maybe it's Cam Newton. Do you worry about the Patriots with Belichick getting, probably 2/3 of the season over with before you play them?
Yeah, I do, because if you look at Belichick is a master at what he does. If you look at some of the years where he struggled and the quarterback struggled and situations went wrong, he always found a way to pull these guys up and come back and win some ball games. So when you're talking about Belichick and they're late in the season, he's going to study you. He's going to find your tendencies. He's going to find your weaknesses. He's going to find where you have a deficiency at. So I would love to have Mac Jones go against the Tennessee Titans early. But when you start playing the New England Patriots late, that means Belichick has a time to find you out, and he's going to have his quarterback ready. He's going to have that defense ready. He's going to have that offense ready. So I would rather play them early as opposed to late.
What do you make of the Seattle Rams swing? We're hearing, perhaps it's rumored, Seattle week 2.
Ooh.
I wouldn't be surprised to see Seattle week 2 at the Rams week 3. I think the league likes to do that, where they just send you out west once and then bring you back. You've played, those West Coast games and on West Coast time. What do you think about that situation? And how different would it be if they're together compared to if they break up Seattle and the Rams?
I would love for them to be together because we can stay out on the West Coast. Because if you look at the Tennessee Titans track record, when we're going on the West Coast, we're consistently losing. So if we can just get down there a couple of days and really get acclimated and then play Seattle or play the Rams or whoever we have to play down there, I think is advantage for the Tennessee Titans because our track record is definitely bad. It's definitely, not good for the Tennessee Titans. So if they do that back-to-back and they just stay there and don't have to go to the traveling and packing and doing all those things, then now you can just really focus on the football and not focus on all the other stuff. So if they do that and back-to-back, I think it'll be great for the Tennessee Titans.
Why did you feel that way when you guys would go out west?
It's just a wear and tear. I mean, it's not. Sometimes it has nothing to do with football. It's about packing. It's about getting on the plane for 4 and 5 hours and going into your hotel room and then have meetings and then having to do all those things as opposed to just traveling an hour and a half to a game. So when you're on the plane, and you're on the plane for 4 or 5 hours, that takes a toll on your body. You're sitting, you're not doing anything. You're sleeping and you're groggy. That's why if you look at what the Tennessee Titans, when they came out and play a game like that, it's always the start is so slow, but then they come back at the end. So if they can avoid that, then I think they can be successful.
Chris Sanders is our guest. It's funny because the offseason program over the last 2 years, it's been so different compared to what it was, and players are voluntarily not going to the offseason program anymore, and I'm kind of against that. But the rookie mini camp is this week. Rashad Weaver's expected to be here. I don't know what the expectations for Caleb Farley are, but if you were out there at rookie minicamp this weekend, what would you be keeping your eye on as far as the draft class is concerned?
Yeah, there's two guys I would look at. I mean, everybody knows to see what Caleb Farley is going to do, but I want to see what Dez Fitzpatrick does. I mean, he's a big time. He's not a big time. He's a big receiver, and there's a lot of competition. You got A.J. Brown, Josh Reynolds, Batson. You got Fred Brown. You got Chester. You got Westbrook. There's all this competition. I want to see how he responds to competition. I understand that he's a big physical guy, and he can get off the line of scrimmage. But I want to see what he does when he goes against elite competition. Because if he goes against elite competition and he starts to beat our guys at camp, then I think he'll be able. The coaches will be able to feel that they can trust this guy to come in and be a three-headed monster with A.J. Brown and Josh Reynolds. So, I'm looking for those things. And then some of the other guys that I'm looking at is Monty Rice. I know you don't like Monty Rice. I just want to see what he's going to do. I mean, everybody talks about that he's big, physical, but he's raw. I want to see where they can put him at to have him a chance to play, because we talk about when he was at Georgia, he was kind of more like a backup guy and more of a special teams guy. I want to see what he can do for the Tennessee Titans to draft him that early.
Chris Sanders, as always, former Titans receiver. By the way, how much did you learn at rookie mini camps, or how important did you think they were when you played?
Man, it was very important. And the reason why I love minicamp is because I get to make sure that the coaches can trust me and earn the respect of my players. Not just earn the respect of the offense, but earn the respect of my defense. Because on the first day of minicamp, the first guy I went against was Blaine Bishop. Blaine Bishop was a heartbeat of that /Oilers/Tennessee Titans team. So I called him out the first play. I said, hey, let's go one-on-one, beat him for a post, and I earned their respect. So these guys got to come in and do that also. Don't go in there and try to do crazy things and, act all cocky, but just go and say, listen, Coach, I'm here to play. I'm here to make plays. I'm here to make catches. I'm here to get interceptions and earn the respect, not just from your players, but earn the respect from the organization.
Chris Sanders, as always, our guest here on the program. Chris, we'll talk to you soon.
My hero. Thank you, my man.
Yep, Chris Sanders joining us, as always, here on the program. So rookie minicamp this week, I don't think Caleb Farley will get out there and do anything. Although Caleb Farley, I should say, was on Talking with TD this week. You can go, if you want to hear the one-on-one, TD with Caleb Farley, go download Talking with TD. I'm sure that when TD drops by tomorrow, we will have a lot to go over with that Caleb Farley interview. But you heard Chris, he wants Seattle and the Rams together. You think they put Seattle and the Rams together on the Titans schedule?
If it is true that the Titans are playing in Seattle in week 2, I don't think that they're going to be together. I don't think they would put at Seattle, at LA, at New York weeks 2, 3, and 4. So I don't think they'll be together, but I really hope they do. I mean, 2 trips to the West Coast would be rough.
I would like that. I would like that to take the one trip out there.
Just
try to win a game.
with.
Try to win a game. What they would have to do, if it's Arizona and then on the road at Seattle and the Rams, what they would have to do is what the Predators are going to have to do next week, which is win one of 2 games on the road, and then you get the Jets. I think I'd like that. Get it out of the way. You're still healthy when you go out there. Knock on wood. You're still healthy when you go out there. I think I would prefer that be the case. 615-737-1025 is our phone number, 615-737-1025. Speaking of the Predators, David Poyle yesterday talking to the Midday Show about what he hopes for the future with Pekka Rinne. What do we make of what David Poyle said? We'll get to that coming up next. Stillman Company is delivered by TriStar Moving. Don't miss the Cure for Our Friends Cystic Fibrosis Golf Tournament, May 15th at the 12 Stones Golf Course in Goodlettsville. Some of the teams include retired Titans football players that'll be hanging around after the tournament for the after party. Cure for Our Friends Golf Tournament still has a need for silent auction items. More info can be found at cureforourfriends.org. Thank you to Dad's Towing, Mitchell's Motors, and Nashville Wrecker Services for being the tournament sponsor for the 2021 Cure for Our Friends Cystic Fibrosis Golf Tournament. Stillman Company, it's ESPN 1025 The Game. Stillman Company is delivered by TriStar Moving, ESPN 1025 The Game. Caroline Fenton is here. Ian is here. Guys, honesty is always the best quality, right?
I would say so.
So let me ask a question. Why does it feel like nobody's ever honest anymore? I mean, and I don't mean that in terms of like everybody's not honest, but it's like everybody seems to always have something up their sleeve. When you talk to somebody, maybe I'm just skeptical, or maybe I'm more skeptical as I get older. But when you hear somebody say something, it's almost like I automatically believe that 95% of the time it's not true. When I hear a coach talk, or I hear a general manager or a player or whatever talk, I'm like, does it feel like that's the truth? And I think maybe it's rooted because politicians don't feel like they tell the truth a lot now. It's like they want to tell you one thing, but they really think another thing in the back of their head, but they don't want to rock the boat. And I understand that because as a boat rocker, there are, some issues where all of a sudden it's like, it just probably would have been better if I hadn't said anything. And so I keep wondering, who all's being honest? Who can we trust? What's the truth? So I asked John Hines before the game on Monday night if this was going to be Pekka's last game or if there was anything on Pekka beyond, and John Hines, like a coach would, said, the focus is on Carolina, the Carolina series, and that's their focus and everything else, wait on that. Pekka was asked after the game Monday night about his future, says he hasn't made any plans for his future. Now, his agent told Adam Vingan that Pekka is playing hockey next season, that Pekka Rinne will play hockey. Adam Vingan reported it. Adam Vingan has good relationships with agents. I think, as we all know, we can trust Adam Vingan when he reports something like that. So Pekka is playing hockey next year. Then there's the Finnish newspaper article we discussed that said that perhaps there's a discussion about Pekka ending this year in the NHL and going back to Finland. But Pekka says that he'll take time and address it later. But deep down inside, I feel like Pekka knows, and I felt like the Predators know. And then I heard David Poile on the Midday Show yesterday talk about the future of Pekka. And here's what David Poile said, and it's kind of got me thinking. Take a listen.
I think, everybody's wondering what Pekka's going to do, and I've told you on the show before, and Pekka and I have not talked about this year. I think it's, I know on my side it's purposeful that we haven't, because I want to see what he's thinking after the season, and I'm certainly open-minded to what his thoughts would be, and I thought if he wanted to have the conversation, we would. And even last night I see him, when he did talk to the media, he doesn't want to close the door, and so and again, it's an unusual situation when you're in the playoffs. And I think, again, if we're going to have any success, as well as Juice is playing, we're still going to need both of our goaltenders to play. And obviously, as we saw last night, Pekka still has games. So I don't know, just was just an awesome experience last night, that's for sure.
Okay, I think David Poile's telling the truth, and I don't know if Pekka's telling the truth or not when he says he hasn't made any decisions or hasn't closed any doors to what David Poile just alluded to. I don't know if Pekka's telling the truth there. Again, Pekka's never going to throw anybody under the bus. He's never going to be the height of controversy. He's never going to do anything like that. I think David Poile's telling the truth. And when David said, I haven't talked to Pekka purposefully, I thought, okay, what's the purpose for that? Because why would you go up to Pekka right now when he's been riding the pine and say, hey, Pex, you want to come back next year? You want to get out there? That's probably not the right time to do it, because I'm sure Pekka's sitting there saying, I don't want to put myself through all of this next year, but maybe things change. COVID restrictions get relaxed. The vaccinations are easier, and all of a sudden you don't have to jump through all the hurdles that you had to jump through with getting back to Finland and everything else, and maybe there's options that will present themselves. Maybe Pekka plays in the playoffs, and Pekka has a great playoff run. You end up in the semifinals or whatever they're calling the Final Four of hockey this year, because there's no conferences anymore. But whatever it is, and then certainly Pekka will want to come back. I think David Poile is telling the truth. I think that they want Pekka Rinne back, and I think they have not discussed this with Pekka, and as David said, purposely, and I think the purpose is for two reasons. This is like a relationship where at some point there's an issue that's going to have to be addressed. In my case, for example, I'm Jewish. And if you date somebody who's not Jewish, at some point that discussion has to happen, right? Well, guess what? It doesn't occur on the second date. It's not a, hey, so it was really good hanging out with you this time. What do you think about marrying a Jewish guy? I like it, maybe like let's let it simmer a little bit before we get there. And I think that's probably what the Predators are doing. So we discussed yesterday, we kicked it around, the group of us, about whether or not we thought Pekka was coming back. All three of us voted no. So now I'm going to kick it around the room again. Do we think the Predators know what Pekka wants to do?
The Predators as an organization or the players?
The Predators as an organization. David Poile on down.
I think they know. I think they do know.
So you think they have had the discussion, and you think David was maybe telling a white fib yesterday?
Maybe. I think they've at least had the discussion. What are we going to do? Has Pekka made up his mind? I don't know. I'm kind of leaning toward yes. When you're at this point in the season, you probably know what you're going to do next season. But I definitely think they've had the conversation, and I think that they do know. If not, they know which way he's leaning.
Ian, do you think they've discussed it? And do you think that David was 100% truthful yesterday?
Discussed it with Pekka?
Yes.
No, I do not think they've discussed his future yet.
I agree with Ian.
You think so?
I think that this is totally because you don't want to ask because the sensitive nature of it, right? Like you don't want to ask because you don't want. First of all, they can't come to an agreement with Pekka today. Even if they wanted to, they wouldn't do it because of the expansion draft. So you would basically want Pekka to be out there as a free agent, throw out whatever freaking goalie you want to throw out there. I'm guessing Connor Ingram would probably be the goalie that Seattle would be able to pick. They wouldn't pick him, but he'd be out there for them to pick, protect Saros, and go on about your business. And then re-sign Mikhail Granlund, re-sign Pekka Rinne, those kind of guys so that you don't have to protect them from Seattle. So I think that's probably part of it. I think the second thing is usually when people are in the middle of a season, they're in the middle of a grind, they're not playing as much as they probably would like to play, there's probably more negative feelings about coming back. We've all been around the person, or maybe in some cases been the person who's like, I'm quitting today. I can't do this anymore. I can't do Bob in accounting. I can't do Cheryl down the hallway. I can't do it anymore. I'm quitting. And then that person doesn't quit. And then it's like 6 months later, you're still there. I think they want to give him time. I think they want him to think about this. It probably is going to be like Mike Fisher, where Mike Fisher said, I want to take some time. I feel like when Mike Fisher first retired, and I could totally be wrong, again, going back to the, is everybody telling you the truth kind of thing. I think Mike probably thought, that he was good. Like, I'm good. I think, that's it for me. Stanley Cup final appearance. I remember the locker clean-out interview he did when he said something like, it's just hockey. I was like, that ain't a guy who plans on dedicating his life to playing more hockey. Not to knock on Mike Fisher. Then Mike Fisher retired. Then Mike Fisher wanted to come back. And I wonder if that's kind of the thing here, which is, hey, Pekka might want to go do something else, but then when push comes to shove and those juices start to get flowing and, hey, the idea of coming back next season, plus I think David Poile's probably looking at it right now as we all expect the Predators. I shouldn't say we all. I know a lot of fans probably feel different, but a lot of us feel like the Predators are not going to win this Carolina series. We feel like they're certainly not cup contenders right now. And maybe they win, they get hot, they win a couple of games that they shouldn't win, and next thing you know, you can sell to Pekka the idea of being a cup contender next year and that getting one last crack at it to go win the cup. So I think that's probably why David has let it play out. But I think I agree with Ian. I don't think David and Pekka have talked about it. Do I think Pekka's probably made up his mind internally? Probably. But then it's on the Predators to pitch him the other way. It's on the Predators to say, hey, reconsider because of this. So I look at it and I think, I still don't think he's coming back. But I do hear what David Poile is saying about, I want Pekka back, and I want to give Pekka time, and then I want to discuss with Pekka. And so at least we talked about, does the team know? If the team knows, do they do something special? Do they go out of their way? Clearly, or at least to me, it feels like the team doesn't know. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. 615-737-1025. What do you make of what David Poyle said about Pekka Rinne making a return and the fact that they haven't talked about it? Does that give you more optimism for the idea that Pekka Rinne may return? And then I think also, how important are these playoffs to whether or not Pekka returns? We'll touch on that coming up next. 615-737-1025. We are live from the wholesaling studio, powered by RumbleOn.com, right here on ESPN 1025 The Game. And I cannot tell you when the Carolina series is starting Monday. When the Carolina series is starting.
What was that? What?
I was expecting my new co-host to say "bless you," and I
bless you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
But we don't know when the series is starting. But we will see when it gets dropped. But again, a lot of people probably feel a certain way, one way or another. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. ESPN 1025 The Game and T-Mobile have partnered up to give you a chance to experience a Nashville SC game this season. Tune in every Monday to Darren, Donick, and Chase for the keyword to text to win. Good luck from 1025 The Game, T-Mobile, and Nashville SC. Stillman Company, it's ESPN 1025 The Game.
Can you let us sort of know where you're at in that? How much thinking you've done about the future? Are you trying to block that out until you get to the end? What can you tell us about where you are right now?
I don't want to speculate yet. I really don't have an answer, and I've mentioned multiple times this year that I'm loving every minute of it. I love coming to the rink. I love playing with the guys, and this season is all that matters to me right now. We go in the playoffs. I'm very excited. And, after the season is probably time when, I'll talk more, but no final decision yet. And to be honest, I really, really don't want to don't want to speculate on that because I feel like it's way too early.
As Beccarine saying, hey, too early to speculate. I'll talk more after. Kind of mixed messages there, right? Like, I don't want to take away from the team. I'll talk more after the season. Well, that sounds like, hey, I got something to tell you. But then there's the side of no final decision, which David Poyle harped on in his discussion with the Midday Show. So, do you think the results of the playoffs could change Pekka's mind?
I don't know. Pekka doesn't seem like that kind of guy to me.
Like a very reactive guy who all of a sudden says, well,
right.
Darn it, we got to 7 games with Carolina, so now I'm in because I think we can compete.
Right. I think regardless of the playoffs, he will make up his mind based off of what he wants to do, based off of what's best for him and his family and his future. So, no, I don't think the playoffs are going to impact it. But to your point, I do regardless, he's going to make an announcement if he's coming back or not. It's going to be a big deal no matter what. So, yes, he will have something to tell the team. But I kind of trust him in that maybe he hasn't made his mind up yet. But he will have something to say either way.
What if he plays in the playoffs? What if something happens to Saros? He plays in the playoffs. He plays well. Does that then change what happens? And I would argue this probably goes back to Floyd used to have a saying that was, you never make a decision until you have to. I forget how it came up, but this came up off the air before it came up on the air. And it was something to do with something that Ryan wanted to do. And it was always a weird dynamic, right? Because the way it used to be back when we were, back in the studio every day was, and Ian, you remember this, it was me, you, Floyd, and Ryan, and we would just sit there for like an hour before we'd go on air. Probably the most wasted time of my life, my mid-20s.
Sheesh.
Well, I mean, it was literally, Ian, back me up on this. It was literally just an hour of the 4 of us sitting. I shouldn't say wasted because we did have a lot of fun.
Yeah, sometimes
we would, memories.
We would, kind of shoot the wind and talk a little bit of sports and talk not sports and a little bit about the show and a little bit about nothing.
I mean, it was just pretty much just Floyd cracking on me the whole time. But we just sit there and we'd shoot the breeze, and something came up. It was a weird dynamic because Ryan had just elevated himself, had just been elevated into management. And so now here's 27-year-old Ryan, who's being elevated into a managerial position, and here's Floyd Reese, who's been a coach and a general manager in the NFL. And it's like, we watched Ryan kind of learn how to be in management. And it was obviously different for me than it was for Floyd, because, Floyd's been in management for forever. So when Ryan would have, certain responsibilities that a manager would have to do, Floyd always got a nice little kick out of watching him do them for the first time. But I forget what happened. But Floyd looked at Ryan one time just straight in the face and goes, that's why you don't make a decision until you have to. And that has stood with me for a long time, about not making a decision until you have to. And I wonder if that's the approach Pekka and David are taking is, hey, what if this Carolina series goes really well? Like, what if the Predators knock off Carolina in 5 games, something crazy, which isn't very likely, but let's just, what if they do that? They get into a second round against Tampa Bay. Every coach and general manager says something that I don't believe is very true, which is, hey, if you're going to get through these playoffs, you're going to need 2 goalies. But maybe that is the case in these playoffs. Pekka plays well. The Predators, get to the 7th game of the second round against Tampa Bay and lose. You could argue, hey, you just knocked off Carolina and you went right toe-to-toe with Tampa Bay. You could argue that, hey, this team really is close to competing. And you could probably try to use that to convince Pekka to come back. And Pekka could probably look at his game and say, hey, I can do one more year. We talked with Hal Gill yesterday about how much work Pekka has to put in order to play at the level that he wants to play at. And would you want to put in that level of work to come back and only play once every 4th or 5th game? And I don't think Pekka wants to do that. But if you're winning and you're having success and you're thinking, hey, I could be part of something and be more than just Carter Hutton, the backup, in order for us to win a Stanley Cup next year, maybe that does swing the needle a little bit. So I think that's another caveat to throw in there. Maybe neither side has made a decision because they don't have to make a decision. That being said, he's not going to say anything that will take attention away from the team or the team's focus off of Carolina. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. Our text line, phone line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Caroline Fenton on the text line. What is in there?
One texter texted in and said, I'd rather hear about Tim Tebow than a hockey player, but when it comes to Pekka Rinne, why is there so much talk about his return or not?
Well, because he's the most popular player who ever played on the team. I mean, I don't know, I mean, Tim Tebow sucks, and there's talk about Tim Tebow. He sucks. He is not good. He is not a good football player. He is not a good baseball player, and he is not going to be a good tight end. And honestly, he's not even really a good commentator. So he really is nothing except for a guy who used to be good at college football. I don't understand why we don't give Eric Crouch all of this attention that we give to Tim Tebow. Pekka Rinne is the most famous player in the history of the franchise. He's the best player in the history of the franchise. He's the most popular player in the history of the franchise. I mean, I can only imagine what it was like. You'd have to ask Willie or Darren, but I can only imagine what it was like when the Titans released Steve McNair. I mean, you knew the future was Vince Young. They had already drafted him. But Steve McNair was one of the most, if not the most popular players in the history of the franchise. At that time, he was the most popular player on the team. Eddie George. And I was watching an old Monday Night Football game a couple of years ago on YouTube. And it was the Titans and the Patriots in 2002. Patriots were defending champions. Titans ended up in the AFC title game that year. They lost to the Raiders. And I was watching it, and in it, John Madden was talking about how bad Eddie George had gotten. Eddie George, he's the lowest rusher in the NFL in yards per carry, but Tennessee, they just love giving him the ball. They'll give him the ball 25 times if they can tonight. Boom. And you think about the fact that Eddie George barely got to 1,000 yards. I believe that last year he was a Titan. And just got to, I think, 10,000 yards that year. And it was a big deal. And they got into the playoffs, and Eddie helped them win a game. But Chris Brown was clearly going to come in there and be the running back sooner rather than later. But I remember when they released Eddie George, it was like a knife to the heart that they were releasing Eddie George. And then the next year, when the team was expected to be pretty good, they'd been to the playoffs 4 out of the last 5 years, and they started the year off just terribly. And I remember my 9th grade math teacher asking me, do you think this is because they don't have Eddie George? And that's the way I kind of approach this is, with Pekka, he's the most popular player in the history of the franchise. Why do we care about him coming back? Because they're not as good of a team next year if he doesn't come back. They're not. I mean, they'll go out and they'll get a backup. And it'll be some guy who probably kind of stinks and you don't want in there. I think the Boston Bruins, for example, they have Tuukka Rask as their starting goalie and Yaroslav Halak is the backup. And Halak, I think, had to play last year in the bubble when Tuukka just decided to bounce. And so Halak is a backup. He's not great. This year he hasn't played really well. They've got a young prospect, a guy named Swayman. And Swayman is going to be the backup this year in the playoffs. Why? Because he's better than the backup, and he's the future. You want that kind of guy as your backup goalie. Well, the Predators aren't going to have that next year. Saros is going to be the guy, and if it's not Pekka, it's going to be a true backup. It's going to be Jonathan Bernier behind UC Saros. It's going to be Cam Talbot behind UC Saros. It's going to be a guy who might be a starter for a really bad team will be behind UC Saros next year. And I don't think you're as good of a team, so I think it checks a lot of boxes. What else in the text?
One texter texted in and said, would winning hurt the chances of Pekka coming back? End the season with a shutout and then possibly stealing a series you don't deserve. Leave on a high note. I feel like if you're using that logic, it would have to be like a cup. Like if you are planning on coming back next year, if Pekka is planning on coming back next year and he's dead set on that, I think the only thing that would stop him, at least for me, in my opinion, if you win a Stanley Cup, go out on a high note, leave while you're ahead. I think that would be the only thing that would deter me personally.
Yeah, I don't think winning can affect this equation, other than winning a cup.
Right.
I have a hard time with the idea that, they won, so that's too much winning for me. I'm out of here.
Right. Stole a series the first round of the playoffs. I'm out.
I've never been tired of winning, and I'm not sure anybody has ever gotten tired of winning, so I certainly don't think he's immune in that regard. What else is in there?
Justin texted in and said, 2 more seasons of playing 25 to 30 games gets Pekka over the 400 wins mark, and that's huge to potentially get into the Hall of Fame.
I wonder how much he cares about that. And I wonder how much of a candidate for the Hall of Fame Pekka is. Like Eddie George and Steve McNair are never going to make the Hall of Fame. I love those guys, and I'm not saying they shouldn't make the Hall of Fame. But they're never going to make the Hall of Fame. If Steve McNair was the quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys, he would be in the Hall of Fame. But the Tennessee Titans are not the Dallas Cowboys. I kind of think that Pekka, if he was the starting goalie for the last 11 years or 12 years or whatever it's been, if he was the starting goalie of the New York Rangers, maybe that discussion's a little bit different. The Boston Bruins, the Washington Capitals, the Montreal Canadiens. Maybe it changes the reality, but I don't think – this is just me, and I'm not saying he shouldn't be. I'm just saying I don't think Pekka, a one-time Vezina winner, I don't think he ends up in the Hall of Fame. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. Again, more Titans scheduling leaks continue to arise, so we'll get through that. 615-737-1025, plus we'll – take a look at the headlines as more NFL schedules have gotten out. Caroline Fenton's here. Ian's here. It's Stillman Company on ESPN 1025 The Game. And, of course, we are streaming on the Game Nashville app. Catch all Sounds baseball on ESPN 94.9. Tonight, the Sounds take on the Memphis Redbirds at First Horizon Park. Pregame starts at 6:20. First pitch at 6:35. Nashville Sounds baseball on ESPN 94.9 is presented by Farm Bureau Health Plans and 312 Pizza. In AFL, and I almost said NHL, NFL schedule release is coming out tonight. And again, certain things are leaked out. The Patriots schedule is leaked out. The Jets schedule is leaked out. The Saints schedule is leaked out. And apparently the Thanksgiving Day games have leaked out.
A few Christmas games are out.
Well, the Bears play the Lions, the first Thanksgiving Day game. Raiders, Cowboys, I kind of like that one. And then Bills, Saints? Like Bills, Saints?
Who dat?
Who wants to watch that?
I'll watch it.
Like I want
Elijah and I will watch it.
I want a good game. Like I want like good teams. Like the Saints, I don't like that one. That one I think every year that third Thanksgiving Day game is so hit or miss. Last year was going to be a good one, Ravens Steelers, and they got postponed because of COVID, so we ended up not having that game. But usually that third one is just so hit or miss. Like they tried putting Atlanta in there a couple of years ago. Oh, it was awful. So and again, my biggest beef with Thanksgiving, you get the Lions off of Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Like, and people are like, well, Jared, it's the tradition. I'm like, who gives? I mean, here's the thing.
I mean, that's my point about having
Baseball,
the Cowboys opening the season.
Yeah, but at least the Cowboys people want to watch. Like the reason they have the Cowboys is because they're going to get the highest ratings. That's why you don't hear me say take the Cowboys off of Thanksgiving. I get it. Put the Cowboys on Thanksgiving. They're going to get the highest ratings. But football's the one sport that literally is popularity above all else. Baseball is, the tradition. Football does not care about tradition. You want to play a Super Bowl in March? They don't care. They'll do it. The tradition doesn't matter to them. And then when it comes to the Lions and Thanksgiving, it's like, oh, God forbid we put on an interesting team that's won a game in the last decade. But that's neither here nor there. Time for headlines with Caroline.
We're spanning the sports world. It's Headlines with Caroline on Stillman Company, right here on Nashville's best sports talk. ESPN 102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
So we have seen so many people, so many writers, commentators, whoever it may be in the national media saying that they expect the Titans to take a big step back this season. They see the offensive assets that they've lost in Arthur Smith and Corey Davis and so many offensive pieces that the Titans have lost. But we did hear Diana Rossini kind of show a different perspective. Here's what she said on ESPN today.
This does not seem like a team that's taking a step back. On top of the most important part of it is they've got a culture, they've got an identity. You can't say that about a lot of teams in the NFL.
And she mentioned all of those defensive assets that the Titans have added, as well as an offense that is so well established in Ryan Tannehill and Derrick Henry. So, to all of the people out there in the national media who may be saying the Titans could be taking a step back, Diana does have a point.
So, Diana Rossini is pretty well connected with the Titans. She covered the Titans for the draft a couple of years ago. And, I mean, she definitely talks to the Titans. So, when I hear someone say, they have the culture that you would want, I get a little, okay, so where's all this coming from? On the other side of that, I mean, here's my feeling about the Titans, and I haven't gone through every game and thought about, this, that. I think there's a chance the Titans can be pretty good this year. I think there's a chance the Titans can be pretty lousy this year. And I think it really is. I mean, I think there really is the potential could really be a very far spectrum for the Titans this year. Like, I was looking at their opponents. I don't think Houston's going to be good. I don't think Jacksonville's going to be good. I don't think Arizona's going to be good. I don't think New England's going to be good. I don't think that Miami had a nice season last year.
Miami could
almost
be good.
made the playoffs. But I would be shocked if Miami was a good team this year. I would be shocked. I would be shocked if the Titans were a good team this year. I'd be shocked if Jacksonville was good. I wouldn't be surprised. I would be surprised if Indianapolis is bad this year. I think there's a chance. I think there's a much better chance the Titans will be bad than Indianapolis will be bad. And yet, I still think the Titans are a better team than Indianapolis, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. I see what you're saying. And I do think for the Titans it's very high ceiling, low floor. You look in Caleb Farley. Is he going to be healthy? Is he not? That contributes to it. How is this new defense going to Fair. That's a big contribution to it. Pass catchers. That's a huge contribution. So all of these question marks surrounding the Titans really dictates what they're going to do this upcoming season.
Sure.
A lot of other leaks that are coming out throughout the NFL Twitter sphere. A couple interesting ones that I pointed out. Chargers at Kansas City in week 3 and Chargers at Baltimore in week 6. So I think that Chargers-KC matchup will be interesting.
But why is that interesting that it's week 3? Is it like Sunday Night Football?
No, I don't think the week really matters, but I just think it's a good matchup. Bills and Chiefs Sunday Night Football week 5. That'll be a good one.
Well, see, here's why that matters. Because Bills
That's a big
Titans,
AFC.
Bills Titans is week 6. So I would love the idea for Buffalo to upset Kansas City on Sunday Night Football. Big, tough, physical, emotional game. Spend all week celebrating how great you are. Monday Night Football, lose to the Titans. That is a setup, and I love it. And so when I saw that Kansas City was on Sunday Night Football with Buffalo before they played the Titans, I said, hey, maybe that's the opportunity for Buffalo to get their revenge in the AFC Championship game, feel pretty good about themselves, and get knocked off when they come here.
We also have Washington football team at Dallas Sunday Night Football in week 16, I believe.
Dallas
and Washington doesn't do it for me.
Put
it
Dallas
just
on TV.
Doesn't do it for me.
It's Dallas.
Who cares?
Everybody, because it's the Cowboys. Everybody cares.
I mean, I think only Cowboys fans care. There's a lot of them.
ESPN. You saw when you did something Cowboys compared to when you did something not Cowboys. Was there a noticeable difference?
Well, I don't know because they really only talk about the Cowboys on television. I worked on the social side, so I'm not totally sure. But with the amount that ESPN talks about the Cowboys, you have to assume that, yes, it really does move the needle.
So I met a guy
It's just
one time,
annoying.
I met a guy one time who worked for 24/7 Sports, and he was telling me, he goes, the clicks across everything NFL, if it's Dallas, it gets infinitely more clicks than anything else. Dallas gets infinitely more. He said nobody wants to do reviews and rear view mirror. They want to all look forward, and if it's Dallas, it's Dallas. So we're going to get stuck with, I hate like the Chicago Bears, for example. I find them to be the most unwatchable team on television. But the Chicago Bears, week 1 against the LA Rams on Sunday Night Football, because Chicago has a new quarterback, but it's Chicago. It is a humongous market.
And I think Justin Fields has a lot to do with that.
I think the fact that it's a humongous market has a much bigger deal to do with it.
And also, you're going to get eyes on that game outside of Chicago because people want to watch Justin Fields.
I would think that you'd be a little surprised that I'm not sure that unless the player's name is Brady, the player I don't think necessarily moves the needle. If anything,
you'd be surprised.
If anything, I think that Stafford moves the needle in this equation for why they want to put this game on TV more than Justin Fields does. Not to say that they don't want to put Justin Fields on TV. I just don't think they view Fields as a priority yet to put on television. I think they view the Chicago Bears and the Chicago market. That's something they want to put on TV. What else?
On Get Up this morning, Marcus Spears and Diana Rossini and Greeny, they're all kind of deliberating on what is the best week 1 matchup. Marcus Spears said Browns Chiefs because he thinks that the Browns are a Super Bowl dark horse contender. And we had talked a little bit about the Browns yesterday, a couple days ago, and the standings in that division. I just don't really know if I'm sipping the Browns Kool-Aid quite yet.
So I'd have to look at the whole week 1 schedule. I mean, to me, I think the most interesting matchup is Dallas and Tampa Bay. I mean,
anything with a reigning Super Bowl contender, I think, is going to be an interesting game.
It's Dallas, and it's Brady, and I find that to be the most interesting. I will say this: I think that's a good game to start, the season. I mean, that is a playoff
It's a good
rematch.
game.
Cleveland certainly has a lot of hype surrounding them. I mean, that's a Jim Nantz, Tony Romo game. I think they go out, do that one. I think that's a good game. I saw that on the schedule for week 1, and I say, that's a good week 1 3:30 game. The thing I can't stand, and again, a huge market. Cleveland, not a huge market, but both teams are interesting, and they have marketable players and marketable teams, and I think that's good. What I cannot primetime game, they put the New York Giants on against another big market, who gives a crap kind of team like the L.A. Rams. And the Rams have a little bit something here and there, but I'll use Seattle. I find Seattle very hard to watch, and I don't know why. But so if you I hate And so I find Kansas City, Cleveland week 1, I think that's a good matchup. I think that's a good game to watch. I still think Kansas City will barbecue them, not to pun that, but I think Kansas City will absolutely fillet Cleveland because I'm not buying Cleveland either, but I do think it's a good week 1 game.
Couple more week 1 matchups of note. Jets-Panthers, Sam Darnold's revenge, which normally would be a snooze and a half of
I
the
will
game.
be watching the Titans play the Arizona Cardinals at that point. That is a noon kickoff on CBS if there ever was one. That is Spiro Ditas, Adam Archuleta written all over it.
No shame in what they do. Be nice to them.
Those guys?
Yeah, be nice to them.
They're the official television broadcasters of the Tennessee Titans.
Right.
They call every Titan game, it feels like.
Right.
I think the Titans are going to get Greg Gumbel, and I don't know, Rich Gannon's out at CBS, so I don't know who Greg Gumbel's new partner is, but that week 1 versus Arizona, I think they're going to get Greg Gumbel and whoever's working with Greg Gumbel from now on. I have no idea who it is. Maybe it's Trent Green again, or maybe it's Jay Feely, but I think they're going to get the Greg Gumbel game, which every time the Titans get a Greg Gumbel game, and they've gotten a lot more Greg Gumbel games, it's like as the Titans have gotten better, Greg has gotten shipped on down the depth chart at CBS. So the Titans have found themselves with quite a few Greg Gumbel games lately. I think they start the season on a Greg Gumbel game.
Also, Packers-Saints of note, which is kind of feels like the matchup of we don't really know who our starting quarterback is.
So I think Packers-Saints, this is where, again, who's got the doubleheader? Who's got the week 1 doubleheader? Because that's got Aikman and Buck written all over it. Packers-Saints.
Right.
So which game are we going to get? Who's got the doubleheader? Are we going to get Kansas City and Cleveland, or are we going to get Packers-Saints? Because Buck and Aikman are going to Packers-Saints, and Nance and Romo are going to Cleveland and Kansas City.
Right.
Which game are we going to get?
Well, I guess what team has more of a market here? Kansas City or New Orleans?
No, I think it's which network has the doubleheader. They're on different channels. So if Fox has the doubleheader, then you'll get a noon kickoff game.
Right.
On Fox,
a 3:30,
whatever, and then you'll get that game. If Fox doesn't have the doubleheader, then perhaps Titans Cardinals on CBS. Then we'll have both. We'll get Chiefs and Browns, and then a 3:30 Packers Saints. But I don't think the league likes to do that. So that'll be interesting to see what they have set for week 1. Headlines with Caroline. 615-737-1025 is the phone number, 615-737-1025. Those announcer things, I mean, I always view the announcers and who you get as like a sign of respect.
For sure.
So if you get Tony Romo, like that is a sign of respect. And not that I care if the Titans get Tony Romo because I want to hear Tony call the game. I don't care about that. But it is the sign of respect that the Titans get by having Tony Romo. Coming up next, speaking of sign of respect, how many primetime games? We'll look at this, what they've got. But do we think there are more primetime games on the Titans schedule? We will discuss. Stillman Company right here at ESPN 102.5 The Game.
now in my role or now as a fan, I'd look at other stuff, matchups, when somebody gets to play somebody, revenge games, reunion type stuff. So, I pay attention to that stuff more now. And so was asked the question earlier, like to me, Kansas City, Cleveland, week 1, like that's the game I'm looking forward to the most. And then the next one is like, I can't wait to see Matthew Stafford with the Rams Sunday night against the Bears, which I think should be a good defense. Like I'm looking forward to see that one too.
That was Tim Hasselbeck on Darren Donick and Chase. Again, looking for more leaks about the Titans' schedule. Here's what we know so far. Again, tonight, 7 o'clock, they will release the full schedule. Here's what we know so far. Arizona week 1, that's on CBS at noon. The Jets week 4, that I believe is a noon kickoff on CBS, but that means Zach Wilson, so you get a young rookie in his 4th game. Week 6 versus Buffalo, Monday Night Football. And what I think some of these you're going to have to do is like reverse engineer. So because we know that, for example, Kansas City plays Buffalo week 5, the Titans can't play Kansas City that week.
Right.
So you try to plug in where Kansas City may go. I still think that Kansas City, here are the games that we don't know. And again, I got distracted there. Buffalo week 6, New Orleans at home week 10, at New England week 12. That's a noon game CBS, although, that could be flexed. If New England's any good, it probably does get flexed. Thursday Night Football week 16, San Francisco. So here are kind of the games that I look at. Indianapolis, Houston, Jacksonville, 6 times we don't know when they play. None of those games, in my opinion, are primetime games. Maybe one of the Indy games is a Monday nighter, but I doubt it, only because I assume Indianapolis, home or road, will be the last game of the year, and that could be a Sunday nighter if the division or a playoff spot comes down to that and there's no other games for them to pick from. So
Chargers also play the Chiefs week 3, so we know that won't be week 3 for the Titans.
So no Kansas City week 3 and no Kansas City week 5.
Right.
So we should keep an eye on, where Kansas City's schedule says they are to where we can start ruling out certain teams. At Seattle, at the Rams. I don't think those are going to be primetime games, but they could be Monday night games. They kind of have a Monday night-ish feel to them, although I didn't think that San Francisco was going to be a primetime game. And the rumor out there is that that's going to be week 2.
For the Seahawks, yes.
For the Seahawks, yes. And then I would argue there's probably a chance that it's the Rams week 3, but did we not see a Rams week 3?
I have not seen a Rams week 3. Rams at Colts week 2.
Rams at Colts.
So
no Rams in week 2?
No Rams week 2, which would make sense that I have not seen a Rams week 3 or a Titans week 3, and we're thinking Titans could be on the road at Seattle week 2.
Okay, that would mean the Rams go back home, and the Rams would then get the Titans if they want to make it one West Coast swing. At Pittsburgh, I find to be interesting here because I don't think Pittsburgh's going to be very good, but Pittsburgh is still going to find themselves on television. And I think that could be a Monday Night Football game. Last year, I was stunned. I was shocked when Pittsburgh and the Titans was not the 3:30 late kickoff primetime doubleheader. I believe Nance and Romo did Kansas City and Denver instead of Tennessee-Pittsburgh. And then Titans-Pittsburgh got moved because of COVID, and they still kept it at noon, even though both teams were undefeated when they went and played each other, which I was shocked by. I don't think the Steelers are going to be very good this year. I wonder how the NFL schedule makers look at the Steelers. Do they look at them and say, hey, they're not going to be very good? So, yeah, we'll put them on Sunday Night Football once against Baltimore, and we'll put them on Monday Night Football against Cleveland, and they'll have some good games because they're still the Steelers, but maybe not just schedule the Steelers with a bunch of primetime slots.
Chicago at Pittsburgh, week 9, Monday Night Football.
Okay, so no Pittsburgh week 9. So
correct.
At least I'm trying to write down who all to avoid or who can't play where. So if you can't play Pittsburgh week 9 and you can't play Kansas City week 5, what's that mean? And right now, until we get more context clues, the answer is it doesn't really mean a whole lot.
Giants at Kansas City week 8 Monday Night Football. So no Kansas City week 8.
So now I'm starting to lose the idea that Kansas City could be Sunday Night Football. Because Kansas City, I keep hearing Kansas City Monday Night Football, Kansas City Sunday Night Football, can't see this, can't see that, can't see. They can't put Kansas City on Sunday Night Football every week. At some point, Kansas City has to play like a noon kickoff. And if you're going to have to play a noon kickoff, don't the Titans make sense as the kind of team that they'd say, you know what, you got to play a noon kickoff, you're playing Tennessee.
Yes, I agree with you, but whenever I was looking at the schedule, I thought that Kansas City was going to be the Titans Sunday Night Football game. But, I mean, noon, 3:30, sure, why not?
I mean, what are the chances the Titans don't have a Sunday Night Football game this year? I think they're going to get a Sunday Night Football
I think
game.
they're going to get one.
Now, they have perpetually not had Sunday Night Football. Like last year, they got Sunday Night Football scheduled at the jump with Green Bay, and it stuck. Normally, they don't get Sunday Night Football. I think they got Sunday Night Football in 2018, the last game of the year. And I don't think they got a Sunday night game. I think last year was the first Sunday night game, the first true scheduled Sunday night game that they had since 2009. So they are not very often on Sunday Night Football. So maybe they're not going to get – that's why, again, if I'm looking at true Sunday night games, Seattle and the Rams, that's not a Sunday night game.
No. That'll be a midday game, 3:30.
Kansas City is the only viable Sunday night game outside of that Week 18 winner-take-all kind of thing.
You're not looking at Indy.
No, they're not. Indianapolis is not. If Peyton Manning was still the quarterback, maybe.
Yes,
but you're not getting a Sunday night game. Maybe they get 2 Monday night games. 2018, the Titans didn't have a Sunday night game until they got flexed into it, but they had 2 Mondays. They had a Cowboys and they had a Texans. And I want to argue those were back-to-back, I think. No. Indianapolis was in between. So they had 2 Monday nighters. Maybe they get 2 Monday nighters this year. We know that Buffalo Week 6 is a Monday nighter. 615-737-1025 is our phone number, 615-737-1025. I'm amazed at how anything can get said about anything. And all of a sudden, everybody starts asking me, are we going to get a baseball team in Nashville? Yesterday, it happened again. The Oakland A's finally said after 30 years of trying to get a new stadium built, we might have to look somewhere else. And everybody keeps saying, what about Nashville? I will lay out why that makes no sense next. Stillman Company, it's ESPN 1025 The Game. Stillman Company is delivered by TriStar Moving, ESPN 1025 The Game. Big news yesterday that the Oakland A's were looking to relocate. And then all of a sudden, everybody was saying, cities that make sense. Nashville. What about Nashville? I saw John Heyman, longtime MLB insider on MLB Network, listed Nashville as one of the places he thinks they could get the Oakland A's. And then everyone's saying, well, Jared, are we going to get a baseball team? And Ian, how often does something get put in the news cycle that revolves around Nashville getting a baseball team?
Oh, a couple times a year probably.
Yeah.
Maybe twice a year, something like that.
Every time everybody asks me, whatever it is that puts Nashville into the news cycle for getting a baseball team, everybody asks me and they say, Jared, are we going to get a baseball team? As if I have some sort of telescope and I know the future that would just say. And every
do you
time,
not?
Well, every time I say, well, I'm kicking your butt in gambling, so maybe I do.
Oh,
but
all right.
But
you make such weak bets.
But 11-2. But the answer is no to this. And everybody's like, what do you mean? Yesterday, the Tennessean, and I could not even read the article because I don't have like the credentials. I don't subscribe digitally to the Tennessean, nor do I subscribe in general to the Tennessean, though I'm not anti-Tennessean like a lot of people. I just don't subscribe. The Tennessean had a headline. Could the A's leaving Oakland open the door for Major League Baseball in Nashville? And I just quote tweeted it, and I said no. And a bunch of people responded, and they were like, why not? Why not? Why can't they do? Why would they? First of all, okay, let's think about this. There are West Coast or Western United States or Pacific time zone cities that probably have more of an aptitude to build a stadium and certainly more of an appetite to build a stadium right now than Nashville does. And every time, everybody always says, well, what about the Oakland A's play in the AL West? My guess is they don't want to realign everything, which is what you would almost have to do if the Oakland A's moved out here. If the A's moved out here, you'd probably have to put them in the American League Central, and then you'd probably have to move the Kansas City Royals to the American League West. Well, I don't think Kansas City is going to be very interested in doing that. I don't think a team like that, who most of their games are in the Central time zone with Chicago and Cleveland and Detroit and Minnesota, are going to want to all of a sudden put a bunch of their television games on at what would be 9 or 10 o'clock local time. So you're probably not going to be able to do that. Whereas Portland wants a team, Las Vegas wants a team, you could argue those cities are more willing to build a stadium than Nashville. It would make more sense to do that. But what I don't get is everybody just always asks the question about Major League Baseball in Nashville as if they don't know the people right now that are running Nashville and don't know how hard it would be in order to do that. So if you're going to get it, and I have always said this, and I don't understand, and again, I'm not a huge groupthink guy, and I know there are a lot of people out there that listen to this show that are very influential. But I also know there's a lot of people out there that listen to this show that perhaps hear what I say and then think, well, there's no way that could work, just because they don't like me. So they just hear it and they're like, well, yeah, there's no way this could work. But this is the only plan that I think makes any sense for Nashville to get a baseball team. You brought up Caroline expansion the other day. I mean, I don't think expansion is a thing until 2030. Does anybody right now want to wait till 2030? Probably not. So even if you were to do it, you'd have to build, at that time, will probably be $3.5 billion for a stadium. You're going to have to spend about $3 billion for a stadium and then $2.5 billion in order to buy a franchise. So now you're talking about $5.5 billion in order to get a team here. That doesn't make a lot of sense to me, so I rule that out. So this is the only plan that makes any sense to me. There's a group called MLB to Nashville that's selling this idea that they're going to get a team, that it's going to have minority ownership, and that they're going to have a downtown ballpark in which no taxpayer money is spent. I struggle with that. Because unless Michael Jordan and Oprah Winfrey are combining to buy a baseball team and move them there, who's got the pockets big enough to do that? So it sounds nice. It sounds interesting, all the things they've laid out, but it doesn't make any sense. Here's the only plan that works. It has to be the Tampa Bay Rays. Now, Stuart Sternberg, I think is the guy's name. He owns the Rays. I don't know anything about him. I don't know if he has any desire to move his team to Tennessee, a la what Bud Adams did when he moved the Oilers to Nashville. I have no idea. They've tried everything to get a stadium. They've tried Tampa Bay. They've tried Clearwater. They've tried Ybor City. They've tried everything. They can't get a ballpark, and they will not play a day in that building past when their lease is up, which I believe is the end of the 2027 season. So you're looking at about 8 years until they move out. I think that it has to be a county that is not Davidson County. The elected officials in Davidson County right now would never build a ballpark for a major league team. John Cooper would never build a ballpark for a major league team. And you can sit there and say, well, I don't like John Cooper, and a lot of people don't like John Cooper. And you may be right in everything you don't like about John Cooper. I get it. Look, I have argued with John Cooper when he was Metro Council member at large over the soccer stadium, and I remember how much of a teeth-pulling that was because of him. I'm telling you, he's not building you a baseball stadium. So, there's that. So it's got to be outside of Davidson County. I do not see Davidson County and the residents inside of Davidson County electing officials who will then turn around and build a $3 billion baseball stadium. I just don't see it. It doesn't make any sense. So it has to be outside of Nashville. I don't think Williamson County wants to have a baseball team, so go ahead and cross them off. I think people in Williamson County like things the way they are. Rutherford County is the only one that makes sense. All these other places like Wilson County or, the counties that they tell you about whenever there's a storm and they interrupt the ball game to say, hey, there's a storm, here's all these counties that are in our listing area and we like. Cheatham, Wilson, you name it. I don't think that they're metropolitan or quote-unquote metropolitan. I don't think it's big enough to put an entertainment district, put a ballpark, get national people there, that kind of thing. I think it has to be Rutherford County. I think Rutherford County, Murfreesboro, has to look at themselves and say, hey, we're blowing up at an alarming rate. The amount of people that are moving to Murfreesboro are buying houses in Murfreesboro. I don't know if they've passed Chattanooga yet, but I have heard that it is not going to be long before the population of Murfreesboro surpasses Chattanooga as the fourth largest city in the state of Tennessee. Rutherford County has a hospital, a big-time hospital. They're big-time houses, big-time, they are starting to really develop. Would you not want to put a ballpark there and then attract the Rays to come? If you bring the Rays, you already bring an established organization, plus you get the built-in fact. We're talking about the American League West trying to relocate here and how they'd have to move everything around to put, unless you wanted a Nashville team to spend most of their time on the West Coast, you'd have basically an Eastern schedule. So the Yankees, the Red Sox, the Orioles, I think they would make the prime rival the Braves. Now, I worry the Braves would step in on this and say, no, we don't want this plan, because I think the Braves feel like they have a nice little footing here in Nashville. But again, that's the only thing that makes sense to me is for Rutherford County or another smaller county to build a ballpark and build an entertainment district around the ballpark that has multiple bars, multiple restaurants, hotels, luxury condos, just like the Braves have done with the Battery. Then once you do that, the Rays, or once you put the plans in, you then start to make a deal with the Rays. You probably need to do this around 2023, 2024. Once Tampa Bay finds out, or St. Petersburg, or wherever the hell the fans for the Rays live, once they find that out, they're not going to be happy. Then the Rays will be able to negotiate themselves out of that lease. My guess is you probably have a season at First Horizon Park. If Major League Baseball and the Sounds would allow it, you'd probably have a season at First Horizon Park, and then they would move into that new entertainment ballpark district. But it's the only thing that makes sense. It can't be in Davidson County, and it will probably cost about $2.5 to $3 billion of taxpayer money in Rutherford County in order to build. That's the only thing that makes sense to me, and I don't understand how people see any other plan and think, well, what about that plan? Like, I don't see how you can hear this plan from that MLB to Nashville organization and say, that's a good plan, because it doesn't make any sense to me. You all know me. If we could get baseball here today, I would sign up for it. But that plan doesn't make any sense. You think Mayor Cooper is going to give away free land to a Major League Baseball team and then is going to pay to build a stadium and entertainment district? No. Come on now. So that's where I look at. I mean, I'm just glad that they're getting the renovations for the Titans Stadium done, if that's in fact what ends up happening. I just don't get how anybody thinks there could be another plan that makes any sense for Major League Baseball in Nashville.
I just think it would be hard to get people on board to spend billions of dollars on a stadium and an entertainment district in Murfreesboro. And I hear you. I know.
Well, you need
that
the
it's
people
growing.
of Murfreesboro to do it. You don't. People of Davidson County aren't doing that.
No, I know that because Murfreesboro is not in Davidson County. But I think it would be hard to get investors on board to put a ballpark in an entertainment district and invest so much into it.
It ain't investors. It's not investors that are paying the $2.5 billion for a stadium.
Who is? Taxpayers?
That's the only way. It's taxpayers. That's the only way you do it. Unless Warren Buffett decides to buy a team, and then or Jeff Bezos decides to buy a team and move to Nashville, you can't do it. So it would have to be the taxpayers of Rutherford County or Cheatham County or Wilson County or somewhere else. And then they would be the Nashville team. But there is no way, as currently constructed, that you could get somebody to buy a baseball team and get a stadium built for them that is suitable for what they want in the city of Nashville. There is absolutely no other way. It's like everybody that just used to say for time and time again, college athletes, they should pay the players. And the second somebody says that, somebody else says, so you're going to pay the women's players too? Because if you don't, then you lose Title IX funding. And if you lose Title IX funding, you can't have a school. And then everybody's like, oh, well, yeah, about that. This is the only solution that I think makes any sense. Now, again, I'm the one that came up with it, but I don't hear anybody else coming up with solutions. And so that's how I cannot, unless you could convince me Rutherford County taxpayers would pay for this, and I don't think they would, I don't see any other crack at it other than Murfreesboro saying we want to be more on the map. You know, we want to be certainly ahead of Chattanooga. And maybe this kind of entertainment district, and because then you think you build hotels and you get bars. And what I would do is I would approach the Broadway bars downtown. I would approach the Rippies, the Tootsies, the Honky Tonk Centrals, the Tin Roofs. I would approach them, and I would say, build a Murfreesboro version of Broadway, and that is the ballpark district. And you would put hotels there, and now all of a sudden people may actually enjoy going to, they may fly into B&A and then go all the way down to Rutherford County because they can have a good weekend even when there's not baseball here. You know, the Battery in Cobb County, where the Atlanta Braves play, was packed when we were there, and there was no baseball. So maybe that works for them. But they would have to say, we want to be on the map. We want to be something bigger than we are. And so we're willing to pay for it. That's the only way it happened. I do not know another way that you can explain to me how this can get done. And again, it can't be the A's.
It cannot be the A's.
And I don't think it can be an expansion team. I think it has to be the Rays.
Why don't you think it can be an expansion team? It's too expensive?
Because an expansion team would require at least a $5 billion commitment. Not a $5 billion commitment from the taxpayers, but a $2.5, $3 billion commitment from the owner. And then
to buy the team.
And then a $2.5 billion, $3 billion commitment from the city that picks it in order to have the expansion team. Because if the franchise fee for a new team is $2.2 billion, and that's only going to go up. If it's
which I think is still ridiculous.
It doesn't matter.
I know it doesn't matter what I think, but I think that $2.2 billion for an expansion team is ridiculous.
Someone's going to pay it. All that matters in life is what someone's going to pay. Like this house right now, this one, the Green Hill Studio, I bought it in October. And I had a real estate agent tell me that it's worth 30% more now because Nashville is on fire in terms of the real estate market. Well, guess what? Your house is worth what someone's willing to pay for it. And I think someone's willing to pay $2.2 billion to get an expansion franchise. And the owners love it because that's just cash right in their pockets. And so you're talking, and I think it's only going to go up. So it's $2.2 billion there plus $2.5 billion to $3 billion for a stadium. So you're talking about $5 billion in order for an expansion team. And that's before you've got costs of, minor league teams and costs of spring training facilities and all those other things. Like with the Rays, there's infrastructure in place. Mm-hmm. The Rays are like buying an already built house where you don't have to tear it down and build everything up. Right now, do you know how much expensive lumber is? If you want to buy a plot of land and build a house, it is so expensive. And that's where I think that building a franchise would be so expensive that they wouldn't do it. So, again, that's the only plan I think that makes any sense. And every other dialogue discussion, there have been questions of, why can't we? And there's an answer for every why can't we. And until someone figures out the why can't we's, there's not going to be a team here. Let's get your reaction. 615-737-1025. We'll roll right into your calls next. 615-737-1025 and your text, Stillman Company. Delivered by TriStar Moving right here. It's ESPN 1025 The Game. We're live from the wholesaling studio. Powered by RumbleOn.com. We're delivered by TriStar Moving, and we're streaming in the Game Nashville app. Why exactly can this work for you guys, and how much you guys have thought about making this work?
Well, we've spent the last 2 years thinking on the project, planning the project out, and putting in the work, studying the demographics of the city, and really getting to know what Nashville is about. And there was nothing about Nashville, and apparently there's nothing about Nashville to Major League Baseball that says that this project won't work. Major League Baseball sees Nashville as one of the up-and-coming cities for expansion baseball. And with that being said, they've done their due diligence as well. And so if Major League Baseball sees that Nashville is a place that baseball can be in the community and can flourish, we certainly see it that way as well. You do have 3 other major sports franchises there, but with the growth of the city, it being an entertainment mecca, we feel that baseball, you're already supporting a minor league baseball team there, and you're doing very well with that baseball team. And so at the major league level and with the surrounding areas, we believe that Major League Baseball will fit and do very well.
There you go. That works for us.
That works.
Caroline here. All right, talking about major league teams. So people are mad at me because I say the only way I think you can get a major league team is in Murfreesboro. People are like, that is so dumb. The idea of a team in Murfreesboro is so dumb. Do people know that the Los Angeles Angels, that they play in Orange County? Do people know that the Jets and the Giants play in New Jersey? Do people know that the Rangers play in Arlington, Texas? No team, but it would be in Murfreesboro. And it's the only viable option that makes any sense to me without there just being. And I don't even know, I don't know, the policies and the political leanings of Murfreesboro. I have a gut feeling, but I don't know. But I could see them saying, we don't want to spend $3 billion for an entertainment district. I'm saying that's your best bet. I'm telling you, Nashville ain't doing it.
I just think Murfreesboro is 40 minutes from downtown Nashville.
Ish, yeah.
That's kind of a long way to expect people to go for a baseball game. You know, people are going to Uber. Ubers in Nashville are really hard to get, and they're awfully expensive.
I don't think you make decisions about franchises based upon Uber.
I'm saying that's a part of it. I would say you could make a decision based off of franchises, based off of ticket sales and people who would go to the games. I would love to go to a Sounds game because it's in my backyard and I can just walk over there, and that's great. That's so convenient. I definitely would go to a Nashville baseball game, but it would kind of be a hassle. I would expect to have to leave a lot before the game starts and get home late, and I don't think that would be something that the people living in Nashville, in Davidson County, would want to do.
Okay, but there's more people that live in Fulton County, Georgia, that would probably support the Atlanta Braves than there are people that live in Nashville, Tennessee, that would support this team. And the Braves still moved. Again, people drive from Dallas to Arlington in order to go root on the Rangers. People leave New York and go to New Jersey.
How far is Arlington from Dallas, downtown Dallas? I don't think very far.
Have you ever driven around Dallas?
Yes.
It's not easy getting around Dallas all the time now.
Not always easy to get around Nashville either.
No, but my point is that if it works for them, it can work for somebody else.
And I think you also have to keep in mind that people are on board with the Rangers. People are big Rangers fans.
I mean, the Rays, for example, play in St. Petersburg. That's not Tampa Bay. And I try to explain that. People don't understand. I understand what you're saying. A lot of national people would be inconvenienced to drive 40 minutes to go to Murfreesboro. But there's also a lot of people in Murfreesboro that would go to the thing in Murfreesboro. It's not about, would they draw. I think they'd sell out for the Red Sox. I think they'd sell out for the Yankees. I think they'd sell out for the Braves. I think they'd sell out for the Cubs. I think they'd sell out when they play these games. I think they'd sell out. But it's not about, can we sell out every game? It's about, will that entertainment district generate the revenue that is worth the whole point of building it? And that is way above my pay grade before I can get into figuring that out. I'm just saying, it ain't happening in Nashville. Let's go to your phone, 615-737-1025. Bubba has been waiting patiently and is up next on a Major League Baseball stadium. Go ahead, Bubba.
Well, I finally woke up, Jared. Thank you. A couple points. One is there is land it's already, I want to say, dedicated to the stadium, a baseball stadium in Davidson County. That's number one. Number two is...
How is it dedicated to a baseball stadium?
Because it's already planned for it. I can't disclose where it is because of, I know about it, and it will be in a vibrant area. Let me just put it that way.
Well, you tell me they're going to put a Major League Baseball stadium in Belmead?
Pardon me?
Or they could put like a Major League Baseball stadium in Belmead? Like, there's a vibrant area of town where they can put one.
Why are you being a smartass? I didn't say Belmead, did I?
No, but you're sitting there telling me that there's a plot of land that's already reserved for a Major League Baseball stadium?
Yes, there is. Yes,
I have a really hard time believing that.
Well, whether you believe it or not, it's true. So, I know it's true.
Who's
my
reserved
customer? All right, that's number one. Number two is the taxpayers would only be on the hook because what we would do if it was, and I agree with you about Cooper. Cooper would never allow any type of funding for a stadium. That's true. But hopefully he'll be out of office within a couple years. But the other point is that the city would issue bonds like they did for the soccer stadium, and the taxpayers would only be on the hook if there was a default. And I don't see with the enthusiasm that Middle Tennessee, and I'm talking about from the Sounds all the way down through, T-ball. Baseball is very vibrant here in Middle Tennessee and in Tennessee, period, in the South.
So, Bubba, I don't know what you do for a living, and I appreciate your call. I don't know what you do for a living. I know what I do for a living and talk about sport. And I'm telling you right now, baseball talk does not move the needle. If we were to sit here and talk about, and I hear you, hey, to the Sounds, to Little Leagues, people care. Okay. If we were to sit here and talk about the Chicago Cubs, it's not moving the needle. The Titans' schedule moves the needle. The Predators in the playoffs moves the needle. Like, I'm sorry, Vandy football does not move the needle around here. We don't talk much about it. Major League Baseball doesn't move the needle. Like, so this idea, and I hear things that I just know are not true. Now, he may be right that there's a plot of secret land that we don't know about that's reserved for a Major League Baseball team. But I'll give you an example here of just, again, and this isn't really a political leaning opinion. This is more of like a political reality opinion, which is Mayor Cooper's going to get voted out of office next time. I'll be stunned if Mayor Cooper wins re-election. Not because of how I feel about Mayor Cooper, just because I got the feeling that most people in Nashville don't really like Mayor Cooper. That's just me. And that's the vibe I get. But even the mayor before him, David Briley, when Commissioner Rob Manfred came out and mentioned Nashville as a possible expansion site, I think David Briley tweeted out at the time, hey, we love all the attention, but we're really focused on the soccer team right now. We're not focused on getting a baseball stadium built. We're focused on getting a soccer stadium built. I don't think that the politicians that get elected in Nashville are really all that worried about a baseball stadium. And I don't think they're going to, offer the bonds and, hey, the taxpayers aren't going to worry about it unless they default. And those same people that are getting elected in Nashville are going to say, hey, what if they default? That's just my vibe of the situation. And I feel like I have a pretty good knowledge base for it. Now, what do you make of the conspiracy theory? Or I shouldn't say that. That's wrong. What do you make of the caller saying that it's already been decided and already been figured out? You buy that or sell that?
I mean, I would be shocked if that is true, but he seems very adamant about it. So I have no reason to believe it's not true other than my own intuition saying, what the heck? Like, that doesn't sound right.
I mean, again, once you say something to me about Nashville's very vibrant, or baseball is very popular in Nashville, the Sounds are very popular because they have an excellent business model. The Sounds have an incredible business model. Tickets are not expensive. They have entertainment for kids. They have entertainment for baseball fans. They have entertainment for young to middle-aged people. They have entertainment for old people. It's a perfect business model. Great weather, nice area of town. Like, they've got the perfect business model. That business model changes once tickets are $200 a piece for the Yankees. That business model changes. And again, I know what moves the needle in terms of what people are talking about sports-wise here. I see all your texts and your calls. We'll get right back to them. 615-737-1025. Stillman and Company's delivered by TriStar Moving, because I do want to get your say on this. If you guys can give me an alternative to my idea. Everyone's, the Murfreesboro idea is a terrible idea. I'm not saying it's the greatest idea. I'm saying it's the only idea that makes any sense to me. Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. You know I love those guys. That's right. They're awesome both here and in Murfreesboro. They take great care of your home, and they can take great care of your home, and they are proud supporters of the Nashville Predators. You see that Hiller logo right there on the ice. Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical tax credits for energy-efficient home systems are back this year. When you put Energy Star certified equipment in your home, you'll earn a tax credit with the IRS. This month, Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical is helping you keep more money in your pocket by doubling your tax credit when you purchase select new HVAC systems or tankless water heaters. They're also offering special financing so you make no payments until next year. Visit happyhiller.com for all of the details. As always, happy you will be, or the service is free. That's right, Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. They are my guys. They're proud supporters of the Preds and the Vols. Hiller, call the Happy Face Truck today. Stillman and Company, Jeff Passan and ESPN, I believe, was the one who broke the story about the Oakland A's looking to move that came out yesterday. I'm not sure I've heard much more about it after that.
No, well, it came out yesterday, and they had said that the A's were willing to sell. So I don't really know how much could come out of that, how much more could come out of that.
I do wonder, and I just put it in there, and it says that they are exploring relocation possibilities after MLB suggested it. If the Howard Terminal Stadium proposal is not approved by local politicians. So I'm guessing that means that they're trying to leverage the, hey, we're going to move if you don't build us the stadium, which is exactly how the stadium that the Rays play in got built.
Right.
Was the San Francisco Giants didn't want to play in Candlestick anymore, and they said, we're leaving. And I believe the Seattle Mariners said with the Kingdome, we're leaving. And
that's exactly how St. Louis got the Rams and how they lost the Rams. Was St. Louis was willing to build a stadium in 1980-something, whenever that was, and then in 2015 they said, no, we are not going to build a new stadium. And now we have the LA Rams.
So, but it was a leverage play, and I believe that they built that stadium in Tampa Bay basically to welcome one of those teams, and then they both got new stadiums. So maybe this is all smokescreen anyways, and everyone will get a new stadium. Let's go back to your phone, 615-737-1025. Caroline, what's in the text line?
The text line is a poppin' right now.
They're mad at me, aren't they?
Yes.
Why?
So Brad and Clark.
Give me a consensus. We go ahead and say what Brad and Clarksville.
So Brad and Clarksville. So I would say it's about 75-25. 75 people saying like the Murfreesboro idea is ridiculous, and some people are saying no, I would do it no matter what. And Brad in Clarksville is one of those people. He said I would drive an hour to Nashville from Clarksville. I will not drive. Oh, I actually read this the wrong way. I'll drive an hour to Nashville from Clarksville. I will not drive 2 hours to Murfreesboro. No way. That would be stupid.
I mean, I can't tell you, Brad and Clarksville, what to do. I can tell you this. Rob Manfred is not sitting there in New York saying, what are we going to do about the people in Clarksville? No disrespect to Clarksville. We are
Wonderful
very popular in Clarksville. We love Clarksville. And I would fight for Clarksville. But Rob Manfred's not. I mean, again, if Stuart Sternberg with the Rays is talking about getting someone to spend a couple $2 billion in order to build them a facility that they could play at and then bring his team there, and the people of Clarksville are not on the priority list as to what they're upset about. And I know people are going to hear this, and maybe it's the tone, and they're going to say, Jared Stillman hates us in Clarksville. I do not hate you in Clarksville. I'm just being, realistic about what goes across Rob Manfred's desk. Now, it may get to, okay, here are the areas outside of Nashville. Here's the population count within an hour distance from Nashville that's not within an hour distance from Murfreesboro. But I do believe that Murfreesboro is in the center of the state of Tennessee. That is why Middle Tennessee State University is there. That is why they have the state tournaments, or they did at one point, for basketball and football and everything was in Murfreesboro because it was in the center of the state. Again, I could be talking out of my rear end here, but
I think there is a spot in Murfreesboro or Rutherford County in the exact middle of the state.
Yeah. So, and I don't know the numbers. I don't know what they would look at population-wise, but again, the people of Clarksville, I hate to break it to you, but maybe not up on Rob Manfred's priority list. I'm sorry it sounds so callous. What else?
Another texter said, what about that eyesore of a junkyard just south of Nissan Stadium? Could share Nissan's parking, and it would beautify the downtown.
Call the Titans. Tell me how that works out. Call the Titans. Call Titans, see what the Titans say. Then go call John Cooper and see if he'll go ahead and pay all the money to get rid of that and see if he'll pay the money to build a baseball stadium. And then once you get the Titans to say okay and you get John Cooper to say okay, then we can have a discussion. But until you get them to say that, I don't see it being a possibility. Here's the other thing. John Cooper just shook down Nashville SC in order to get the soccer stadium built, which, I mean, at the end, he did win money for you, the taxpayer. So now we're going to go to Nashville and deal with the same kind of politicians that aren't going to build us a stadium. Again, Portland told Bud Adams, we're willing to do it, but this has got to be an exclusive negotiating window. We're not going to be leveraged for Memphis. So I don't think they want to deal with people that may stand in the way of saying, well, you can do it, but. Ricky's up next here on Stillman Company. Thank you for waiting, by the way, Ricky. Go ahead.
Hey, Jared, how are you? I just got a little different point. I'm fine with Murfreesboro. I live out here in Nashville. I would drive. I would think it would have to be a National League team for the rivalries that would be built in with the Braves and the Reds. And my other concern is I own a sports memorabilia company out here, and I got to say, I sell more professional wrestling items than I've sold in the 4 years of business of baseball. This city really isn't, in my opinion, a base crazy city. So we'd be relying more on what we do with the Titans, and that's having out-of-town fans come in, and that's where I go with the National League city needing to be and getting the Mets and the Marlins and the Braves and the Reds here.
Yeah, no, Ricky, I appreciate your call. I mean, I still think if you've got so many people moved from Chicago, if you had the Rays, you'd have, I think, what is it, like 6 games or 3 games a year with the White Sox. I'm sure those probably sell out. 9 with the Yankees, 9 with the Red Sox, 3 with the Braves. Like, you're talking about at least a third of your schedule would be for sure sold out. You also don't have to sell out every game. Like, I think people have this belief that if you have a baseball stadium, how are we going to sell out every game? You're not. Just like the Titans don't sell out every game, just like the Predators don't sell out every game.
The Yankees don't sell out every game. It's unrealistic.
Turn on a Cleveland, whatever they're going to call their team, the Cleveland Indians. Turn on a Cleveland Indians game when the team's not very good in July, and look at how many empty seats are in that stadium. Turn on the Detroit Tigers. So it's not like the idea of, oh, my God, we can't have one empty seat. That being said, I halfway believe that caller, and I halfway believe the baseball is just a poppin' in Nashville caller. And here's what I believe in. If we had a team, we would care about our team. And I mean, I don't want to say like I fantasize about this idea, but I think about the idea of being able to come in July. And I'm not one of these guys that's going to bash sports talk radio in July. I think that if you've got talent, you got to get people interested. That's your job to entertain. But imagine being able to come in July in the middle of a pennant race, and you're in the same division as the Yankees and the Red Sox, and the Red Sox are coming in for 3, and it's like, all right, last night Joe went to the bullpen in the 8th inning. What'd you think? I could not believe he went to that bum Johnson in the 8th inning. I mean, Johnson is awful against right-handers. They've got 3 guys coming up. It's Judge, Stanton, and LeMahieu, and they're coming. And I do not know what he was doing. Let's take it. I get so excited thinking about that possibility. I think if it was our team, we would love it. I do think that a baseball team would work here in terms of people caring. Team's got to be good, but that's the same thing with everything. I feel like it's a little in between. But the idea that Nashville is some baseball-loving city that just baseball, baseball, baseball. You're from St. Louis. I mean, it ain't the same. And so, again, I'm in between in that regard. 615-737-1025 is our phone number here on Stillman Company. 615-737-1025. I feel like people get mad at the Murfreesboro idea.
I think they do because I think people who live in Nashville want it in Nashville, and just to have something else downtown, have it in the backyard, have it become an integral part of the downtown Nashville community, and I don't blame them. I think that would be a blast.
Sure,
but
I'd love to have it in Green Hills, too.
Oh, yeah. Do you want it in your backyard?
Sure.
Well, take the pool out. Just out of Major League Stadium.
Yeah, people don't know that about my backyard.
Oh, well, surprise. But that would be ideal. I don't know if it's realistic in downtown Nashville. I think we've established it's probably not. There are some texters that said, well, how about we expand the Sound Stadium?
Could add seats to First Horizon Park. I think if you could get it to 20,000, and that would be on the very low end of a Major League Stadium, but I believe that all the revenue, TV's the real revenue maker.
Mm-hmm.
I think if you could get it to 20,000, I think you'd have a chance. I don't know if you can or can't. I mean, I'm not an architect, and I don't know any of those plans. I mean, yeah, you'd probably be telling the Sounds. Hey, it was nice knowing you.
Yeah.
We just built you a
Send the
AAA
Sounds to
ballpark in
Murfreesboro.
Murfreesboro. Exactly. That's the only viable option. In fact, I was, in my second year being on the radio when they announced the plans for First Tennessee Park when Mayor Dean was in office, and I remember hearing that thinking, there goes the MLB team. There it goes. 615-737-1025. We'll get a news update from Caroline. That's next. Stillman Company. It's ESPN 1025 The Game. I'm still looking throughout Twitter on Titans scheduling leaks, trying to find more. As of right now, Arizona week 1, that's been confirmed by the league. At the Jets week 4, Buffalo week 6 Monday Night Football versus New Orleans week 10. At New England week 12. Week 16 versus San Francisco at home on Thursday Night Football, and I'm looking for more, and I just,
I don't see much. We have week 4 for Sunday Night Football. We have week 4 New England at Tampa Bay, Bills at Kansas City, week 5. Week 12, Cleveland at Baltimore. Week 16, Washington football team at Dallas. But that is all that I have been able to find for Sunday Night Football.
I mean, I keep trying to look at, okay, so apparently no Jacksonville week 3, so we can go ahead and cross them off. They've been leaked somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
But I am, at the end of the show today, going to put together what I think is going to be the Titans schedule with what we know. But it's time for headlines with Caroline.
We're spanning the sports world. It's Headlines with Caroline on Stillman Company, right here on Nashville's best sports talk. ESPN 102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
A little bit of breaking news from Adam Schefter. The Packers are signing Blake Bortles to a 1-year deal. Now, Benjamin Albright came out and said the Blake Bortles signing has nothing to do with any impending Aaron Rodgers move. It is simply insurance for Green Bay, which is not a bad move.
So I think the Bortles thing's pretty simple to me. Nathaniel Hackett was the offensive coordinator in Jacksonville when Bortles was the starter. He's the offensive coordinator under Matt LaFleur in Green Bay. Bortles played recently with the Rams, which is obviously Sean McVay, and Matt LaFleur's system is the Rams' Sean McVay system. So I think both guys are probably comfortable with Bortles. LaFleur from the standpoint of, the fact that he played for McVay, and Nathaniel Hackett from the standpoint that he's already coached him. I mean, this is like a mini camp thing. This is, we need an arm. We got 10 receivers. If Jordan Love's the only one throwing passes, how are we going to get enough reps?
If he gets hurt,
in?
there's no other guy in that depth chart.
Sure, and it's not even about getting hurt. I mean, that's like to play a game. I'm just talking about who's going to throw the ball in practice.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's like if you had a basketball team and you had 8 guys, how are you going to practice 5-on-5? You need 2 other guys to get out there, even though they might not be very good. So that's what the Bortles thing is. I think clearly they're not expecting Aaron until training camp, maybe into training camp for Aaron. So this is, okay, how are we going to get the rock distributed? How are we going to get the reps in? And who's somebody we can trust that knows how to practice in the NFL and knows both these coaches? To me, that makes a lot of sense.
And they're showing, look, this is not an investment. Blake Bortles is not, we're not investing in Blake Bortles to be the future franchise quarterback of Green Bay. He signed into a 1-year deal. So yes, it does very much so feel like an insurance sign to make sure that they have a body on the sidelines that can throw the football, because who knows what is going to happen with Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, see, I don't even think this has anything to do with games. I literally think this has nothing. You talk
Just
about the
practice?
sidelines. I think this is totally about practice. What's next?
So tonight, the NFL Network will air the official 2021-2022 schedule, which we've been kind of deliberating on.
Is it presented by somebody? I was thinking about this today. Is it
know.
like the schedule release presented by Pizza Hut?
I'm sure it is.
If it is, whatever company it is, let's just say Pizza Hut for this. I bet the executives at Pizza Hut were
so
fired
mad.
up. No, I bet it's the other way around. I bet they were fired up. I bet they were like, yo, this is going to be awesome.
About all of these leaks?
No, I think the leaks are just there to make you watch.
That's true.
I think that these leaks
Make
are
people
strategically placed to drum up conversation because they want people to, right now, I'm more interested right now in the schedule because I can put some pieces together.
And there are a convenient number of holes that you need to watch tonight to figure them out. Now you're invested in it.
I bet you Pizza Hut or whoever it is that's sponsoring this, I bet they love it. I bet they love this. I bet when the NFL came to them and said, hey, we can give you the schedule release show, I bet they were like, yes. I know that sounds crazy, but I would love to know the reaction if they were given something like that.
They have also announced that there will be 2 games in London this year. Jets, Falcons, October 10th. Dolphins, Jags, October 17th. So a lot of rookie star power.
October 17th is what week? So that we can cross Jacksonville off.
I don't know. I just have the date.
I put you on the spot there.
Yeah, you did.
Keep going about the London.
I think week 8 is Halloween. So if you want to backtrack there. So is that week 6?
Yeah, so that'd be Buffalo. So we already know what that is anyway.
Right. So how about that math there? Draft, and you're looking at the 4th and 5th draft picks in Kyle Pitts and Jamar Chase, respectively, in the Falcons and the Dolphins. So a lot of rookie star power there. Should be fun to watch in London, across the pond.
The Jets, I think you said the Jets, the Falcons.
Jets, Falcons, October 10th, week
Jags.
5. Jags, Dolphins, October 17th, week 6.
So I wonder what the Jets want for this. The teams that go to London always want something out of the league.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, it's obvious that Atlanta wants a Super Bowl, Miami wants a Super Bowl, and Jacksonville just always goes over there anyways. What's the Jets' play here? Like, I know that they hosted that one Super Bowl, but I don't think they'd ever put another Super Bowl there. It's like Detroit. Like, Detroit will never get another Super Bowl. They built that one stadium, and they said, hey, if you built the stadium, we'll give you a Super Bowl. Detroit got a Super Bowl. Minnesota got a Super Bowl. They're never going to get a Super Bowl again. What is the impetus behind doing this? For example, the Titans have never done a London game. They go to London, play the Chargers, they get the draft. What is the Jets' play here? That's what I want to know.
Do you think they want the draft?
They've had it for so many years. It's New York.
Yeah, right.
I mean,
why do you think that there would not be a Super Bowl there?
In New York again?
At MetLife, yeah.
The weather. Like, I think
it
it was like
freezing.
Nice. I think it was nice that one time they did it, and the next day it blizzard. And I think the league doesn't want to put themselves in that situation. So I wonder, to me, obviously the Jets aren't trying to relocate.
Mm-hmm.
When teams relocate, they go to London. The Rams went to London a bunch. The Chargers went to London when they play the Titans. So I wonder what the impetus behind this is. That's the one thing I think I would follow is, what do the Jets get out of this? Why would the Jets voluntarily give up a home game? You can tell who wants a favor from the league. If they're on Hard Knocks or if they go to London, they want a favor from the league. Think about all the teams that have been on Hard Knocks. The Dolphins were on Hard Knocks.
The Raiders.
The Texans were on Hard Knocks. Texans got a Super Bowl. Raiders were on Hard Knocks. Raiders are going to get a Super Bowl. I think that this is when you want a favor from the league, you do the league a favor, and I want to know why the Jets are doing a favor for the league. You scratch my back, I scratch your back. I find that to be a little interesting. Those are headlines with Caroline. Coming up next, at this moment, we know the Titans will have 2 primetime games. How many primetime games do we think the Titans should get? We'll discuss next. Stillman Company, we're delivered by TriStar Moving right here on ESPN 102.5 The Game. I should tell the fine folks out there to listen to Darren Donick and Chase on Mondays because T-Mobile and ESPN 102.5 The Game have partnered up to give you a chance to experience the Nashville SC game this season. Tune in every Monday to Darren Donick and Chase for the keyword to text in to win. Good luck from ESPN 102.5 The Game, T-Mobile, and Nashville SC. Stillman Company is delivered by TriStar Moving, ESPN 1025. The game less than 2 hours away from the Titans' schedule release. Here's what we know so far, and Caroline Fenton is digging through whatever leaks may come out. Right now, Week 1 versus the Arizona Cardinals. Big deal. Week 4 at the New York Jets. Week 6 versus the Buffalo Bills. Week 10 versus, that by the way, Bills, Monday Night Football. Week 10 versus the New Orleans Saints. Week 12 at the New England Patriots. Week 16 versus the San Francisco 49ers, and that game is on Thursday Night Football. So still, we need to know where the two Indies, the two Houstons, the two Jacksonvilles go. Seattle and the Rams on the road. Kansas City at home. Pittsburgh on the road. And Miami at home. And right now, the Titans have 2 primetime football games. So I wonder, how is the league going to show the Titans how much people care about them? See, what's funny is the NFL is a true meritocracy in terms of how they give away success. The teams that are the best end up getting the worst pick. But it's a meritocracy in terms of how much attention you get. How much national television coverage you get is all based upon how much people actually care about you. There are 3 factors that play into how much TV time the NFL gives you. 1, are you an iconic team? The Dallas Cowboys, the Green Bay Packers, for example, are an iconic team. Packers are one of the most storied franchises in the history of the NFL. 2, do you play in a big market? Los Angeles, New York, Dallas, San Francisco, Bay Area. But Carolina Panthers, they're not too interested in you. Charlotte's a nice market, but it ain't big for the NFL. Atlanta is a humongous market, and the NFL still is like, we could do without Atlanta. And the third factor are star players. So, for example, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers had almost no primetime games. They acquired Tom Brady last year. They maxed out on primetime games. What they love is when you have the mix of all 3. An iconic team, a big market, a star player. Tom Brady on the New England Patriots was all 3. Now, again, normally you're going to be 2 of those 3, and if you're 2 of those 3, you'll be on TV all the time. Peyton Manning, Indianapolis, sometimes the star player overcomes everything else, and it's, we got to put Peyton on TV. Right now, Lamar Jackson in Baltimore is that guy. We got to put Lamar Jackson on TV. We got to put Russell Wilson on TV. But the Steelers, an iconic team, are not in a big market. And Big Ben, while he still is a star, is not the same kind of star, but the Steelers will find their way onto TV because they're one of those 3 things. Iconic team, big market, star players.
Is Juju not a star player for you?
He's not. The Titans have none of those things. They have no history like the Green Bay Packers, the Dallas Cowboys, the Kansas City Chiefs. They don't even have the history in terms of football lore like the Minnesota Vikings. They don't play in a big market, although it's growing, and I love this market, but they don't play in a big market. And outside of a running back, they don't have any star players. I look at the schedule, and I think, can they still find their way onto Sunday Night Football? And outside of Kansas City, I don't think it's going to happen. Indianapolis doesn't have star players, not an iconic franchise, not in a big market. Houston and Jacksonville are lousy. And Jacksonville, by the way, not an iconic team, not a big market. And while they have Trevor Lawrence, they don't just give away stars in the NFL. Seattle has Russell Wilson. But is that enough to move that to a Sunday Night Football game when they could take Russell Wilson playing a big market Los Angeles? Or they could take Russell Wilson playing star players like the number 1 pick Kyler Murray, DeAndre Hopkins, and J.J. Watt? Probably not. Okay, what about Pittsburgh? They're an iconic franchise, but again, star players they don't really have. To me, Pittsburgh, Tennessee, that's a Monday night game. That's a game that is certainly on the lower level. The two spots the NFL truly treats like big-time spots are the 3:30 whichever network has the doubleheader spot, the Nance and Romo or Buck and Aikman game, and Sunday Night Football. I think Kansas City is the only one that can get you there. And I don't know if it will. And the reason I say this is when I look at the schedule for the other teams, I hear a lot of Kansas City Sunday Night Football this week, Kansas City Monday Night Football that week, Kansas City 3:30. The Titans are very much what have you done for me lately. The Titans, the Ravens, the Bills, the Colts, the Dolphins, those are all the teams that have to prove every year what have you done for me lately. What are you doing for me to get you on television? And if you haven't done anything for me, then I'm not putting you on TV. And the Titans last year, I don't think delivered as far as what you'd want from a TV product. So I guess this is my way of saying I hope Kansas City is a Sunday Night Football game because you know how much I value the Titans being on Sunday Night Football. But that's the only one that makes any sense to me. And I just don't see it. So I guess to answer my own question, right now the Titans have 2 primetime games, a Monday night game against Buffalo and a Thursday night game against San Francisco. And let me state for the record, I'm stunned that Thursday night game against San Francisco is in fact a Thursday nighter. Now, we'll have to look to see if that is a Fox and NFL Network game or if that's an NFL Network game only. I think it's probably a Fox and NFL Network game, but I figured the Titans would be playing Week 3 Jacksonville or Houston on Thursday Night Football, and that would be an NFL Network only. In fact, I think it's Carolina is playing somebody lousy Week 3. I think Carolina-Houston is the matchup, and that is the NFL Network exclusive Thursday night game. For example, Indianapolis draws Tampa Bay. That is a Sunday Night Football kind of game. You draw New Orleans. New Orleans no longer has Drew Brees. That's not a Sunday Night Football game. So, again, it's gonna feel like a slight. And maybe it is. But I don't see another primetime game on the schedule outside of at Pittsburgh. You can make outside of versus Kansas City. And then, again, they put whatever on Monday Night Football. They put the Titans and the Texans on Monday Night Football a couple of years ago. They'll put whatever they want on Monday Night Football. But as far as premier marquee games, Kansas City's your only hope, and it ain't looking good. How many primetime games do you think the Titans should have?
I think the Titans should have one. Should have at least one game.
Like one more?
One total.
Well, everyone gets one because everyone's on Thursday night.
Well, then no, I don't think they should get one more.
So they're going to have 2 this year with Buffalo on Monday Night Football. So you don't think they deserve...
I'm sorry. I think that they deserve a Sunday night game. Yes, I think they deserve one Sunday night game. And I see that being Kansas City. That's when I was looking at the schedule, when I was looking at the games that the Titans were going to be playing, I pinpointed that one. Kansas City will be a Sunday night game.
Okay.
But Kansas City has a lot of primetime games.
Okay, pull up what the leaked schedule is for Kansas City. I think about it like this, and that is, how many other teams does Kansas City play that would offer a better primetime Sunday matchup than you? Because there's only X amount of times, I think it's 5, is the max that you can play on Sunday Night Football. They're playing Buffalo on Sunday Night Football. That's a rematch of the AFC title game. That obviously is a very, that's an iconic matchup because it was a rematch and star players, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes. And I think they're trying to they always want to bring young quarterbacks in to be the next star players. So they're going to do that with Josh Allen. But maybe not in their division. I don't think Denver's a Sunday night contender. I don't think Chargers maybe is because Justin Herbert and it's a big market. So specifically big market. Maybe the Chargers are a Sunday night possibility for Kansas City.
Kansas City has Sunday Night Football Week 5 against Buffalo. They have Monday Night Football Week 8 against the Giants. And...
Well, Kansas City-Dallas is going to be Sunday Night Football.
Yes.
So Kansas City-Dallas is for sure going to be a Sunday Night Football game. And Kansas City-Buffalo. Does Kansas City... Who else won divisions last year? The Titans won a division.
The Steelers won a division. I don't think that would be Monday Night Football. Maybe a 3:30 kick on Sunday.
That sounds like a 3:30.
Seeing Week 10 at the Raiders on Sunday Night Football.
Okay, Raiders is a Sunday. So now we're at 3. If we're at 3 before we get to Dallas, if we include Dallas, that's 4 Sunday Night Football games already.
There's also Week 9 against Green Bay. It doesn't say when, but that could be a Sunday Night Football contender.
I'm guessing that's one of those ones that CBS is saying.
Did you say the Giants game?
Yes.
Monday night.
Okay, that's a Monday night game. Okay, so that's not a Sunday night. So that's at least worth noting. I just don't see it. I just don't see it. And again, the Titans could care less about this. It's all about what everyone wants to play noon games. Everybody. I mean, I think there's some value in getting a Sunday night game. I think there's some value in being on primetime television. And I just keep looking at this and I'm thinking, maybe Seattle, the Rams, and Pittsburgh. Those are a rung below Kansas City in terms of likelihood for Sunday Night Football. And I just don't see it. Again, those feel like that rung below Sunday Night Football is Monday Night Football, a la the Giants and the Chiefs on Sunday Night Football, because you've got a star player, Patrick Mahomes, and a big market in New York. So you check those boxes. And I think they look at the Titans in Kansas City and they say no, because it maybe includes an iconic team. Kansas City's one of the founding fathers of the NFL or the merger back in the day. But, the Chiefs are so popular now because they're so good, and that certainly checks the star player box. But there's no big market in that. The Titans don't bring anything to the table as far as what the league wants in order to put you on TV. So now I was getting all excited. And now I'm not excited anymore. Oh, man. 615-737-1025. How many primetime games do you think the Titans should get this year? Again, we've already got 2. Now, one of them is the mandatory Thursday nighter. But how many should they get? 615-737-1025. What about the 17th game? Does that give us hope that perhaps the Titans could get a little bit more? 615-737-1025. We'll discuss that, and we'll get your reaction here on Stillman and Company. We're live from the wholesaling studio, powered by RumbleOn.com. ESPN 94.9 is the official English radio home of Nashville SC. Listen in Saturday as Nashville SC takes on Austin FC in Austin. Pre-game coverage 8:15, and the match starts at 8:30. Stillman and Company, we're delivered by TriStar Moving. It's ESPN 102.5 The Game.
With the first pick in the 2021 NFL Draft, the Jacksonville Jaguars select Trevor Lawrence, quarterback, Clemson. With the second pick in the 2021 NFL Draft, the New York Jets select Zach Wilson, quarterback, BYU. With the third pick in the 2021 NFL Draft, the San Francisco 49ers select Trey Lance, quarterback, North Dakota State.
With the 15th pick in the 2021 NFL Draft, the six-time world champion New England Patriots select Mac Jones.
There you go, full schedule. We know Zach Wilson and the Jets will be week 4, and that will be a noon kick on CBS. We do not know, well, we don't know if Mac Jones is going to be the quarterback, but we know he'll be week 12 if he is week 12 on the road at New England. That is currently listed for a noon kickoff on CBS. I thought that had the potential to be a Monday Night Football game. New England, very popular brand. Belichick, very good coach. Belichick, Vrabel, the Titans. Again, Monday night is one rung below, or is a significant rung below Sunday Night Football and the 3:30 weekly primetime game, the exclusive-ish game. I thought New England had a chance. That's not going to be a Monday Night Football. Right now, Buffalo's a Monday Night Football. Still out there, Seattle, the Rams, Kansas City, Pittsburgh. You think the Titans get 2 Monday Night Football games if they don't get a Sunday Night Football game?
If they don't get a Sunday night game, then yes, I do think that there will be another Monday Night Football game in their future. I just don't know what that would be. Kansas City, maybe. I mean, if they have the capacity for another primetime game. But when you're, Indianapolis, Monday night game.
Indy could be a Monday nighter.
Indy could be. Other than that, I don't really know how confident I feel. We know that New England's a noon game.
Are you ruling out the rookie quarterbacks as possible Monday night games? Certainly not Sunday night games. I don't think they're putting Trevor Lawrence on Monday Night Football against the Titans.
Yeah, no. So we have rookie quarterbacks. We know at week 4. We don't know what time the Jets game is, correct?
That's a noon start.
That's a noon game. So we have week 4 rookie quarterback with the Jets, a noon game. Week 12 at New England, possibly a rookie quarterback if Mac Jones plays. We know that's a noon game. We know that San Francisco week 16 is Thursday Night Football. What other rookie quarterbacks are we looking at here?
I'm looking for, the only one left is Justin Fields. I guess Davis Mills could be one at Houston, but that's not going to move any needles, nor is he going to start.
Right, and they're not on the schedule.
I keep looking for I could see
Jacksonville Thursday night. I don't see Jacksonville on a Monday. Definitely
the
not a
Thursday's
Sunday.
already decided. That's going to be San Francisco. I originally wrote this out yesterday and tried to guess the Titans' schedule, and already with what's gone on, I was so mercifully wrong. Oh, here we go. Hold on. This is a schedule leak.
Oh.
From Broadway Sports. I don't know. I guess I trust them fine enough.
Works for me.
Second and Victory. Is that a podcast?
I don't know.
Okay. Second and Victory says the Titans will travel to Pittsburgh in week 15. So I'm going to go ahead and put it down.
I'll write it down.
I'm going to go ahead and put it down because we got no other news on the front, but that's week 15, and it doesn't say Sunday Night Football.
I've been tracking
Monday Night Football.
I've been tracking all the primetime games that have been released and confirmed, and there's currently no Sunday, Monday, or Thursday night game in week 15.
So it could be Monday Night Football.
Could be.
But because you wouldn't play a Monday Night Football game and then turn around and play Thursday.
And Thursday, yeah, you're right.
So that's probably going to be a noon kick for Pittsburgh. So go ahead and take Pittsburgh. If that report is accurate, take Pittsburgh off the list of Monday Night Football teams. I think this is it. Maybe one of the Indy games is a Monday nighter.
Week 17?
They wouldn't put Titans-Dolphins on Sunday Night Football, would they?
No.
That's a noon
That's
kick
a
if
reach.
there ever was one.
That's a reach.
Yeah, I mean, that's a noon kick. I think you're looking at 3:30 starts for the Rams in Seattle, but those are going to be like the alternate games. You know, when like a CBS gets like a really good game, they'll have like Kansas City and the Patriots. And that'll be their 3:30 game. And there will also be the Titans and the Rams going on at the same time.
Right. That's
going to be what those games are. Boy, I think you're running out of options unless Kansas City is a Sunday nighter.
There's not going to be any primetime Texans games.
No. Other than that Thursday nighter NFL Network with Carolina. I keep looking for more scheduling leaks, and it's like they're just
I don't
not
see a
coming
ton
out with the Titans.
There was a Ravens schedule leaked, but people had said that there were a lot of discrepancies within that.
Sure.
And we've already confirmed, or I found to be true, that Baltimore, Cleveland, Sunday Night Football, Week 12, and that was in the schedule. So no new information there.
So that's tough. It's tough. 615-737-1025. Later, though, I will, when we close out the show, try to guess the schedule. I will try to guess the schedule, and it will be my official schedule prediction. So we'll see where that goes. But somebody has been dominating in Carolines. And it ain't Caroline.
Let's just establish the fact that I pick better bets last night. You picked a Dodgers money line. I picked Dodgers -1.5. So
I was so sad that they won that game by 2.
I feel like I deserve more points for that because I risked it and I got the biscuit. You did not.
Let's see. We'll send it off to the judge. How about that?
Okay.
Judge has ruled. No. Okay.
Ian's our judge.
No, he's not.
Yes, he is.
No, he's not.
Yeah.
It is Stillman Company. And I am banging
Not
the
for
gavel.
long.
I am banging
At the end
gavel.
of this month, it won't be.
Well, right now you're down 11. I'm 11-2. You're 7-6. We'll
Sometimes in life, you're going to start out slow.
Stillman and Company. Carolines is next. ESPN 1025. The Game. I decided we were going to start taking this segment, Caroline's, a lot more seriously. And as soon as I started taking it more seriously, I'm not one to...
The Grizzlies -9 because the money line was -500 and wasn't even worth it, so I risked it. Grizzlies won by 5, so I didn't get the point there, but I at least went for it. Yesterday, you picked the Dodgers money line. I picked the Dodgers -1.5, and of course the Dodgers won by 2 because it was a wonderful pick by me.
I was so sad.
I feel like I deserve that point and you deserve none because yes, the Dodgers won, but I won better.
The judges heard your appeal.
The judge, that is you.
Well,
this is a tyranny over here at Stillman Company.
It is not a democracy. That much I can tell you.
I can tell.
I am a big believer in democracy. This is not one of those.
This sucks. I hate this place.
There you go. Well, you can go back and
it's monarchy and company.
I'll be it'll be tough to replace you, and
you'll miss me.
I'm
not going anywhere. Don't y'all worry.
But the person that we bring in might be good at gambling.
Well, so am I.
And we'll see. It's time now for Caroline's.
Get in on the action. Put the money on the mahogany. What's on tap on the sports books? It's time to break it all down with Caroline's. Here on Stillman Company.
On ESPN.
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Let me just say shout out to the Miami Heat for knocking off the Boston Celtics. I went Heat -1.5. You went Celtics money line. That was the difference yesterday. I was 4-0. You were 3-1. 11-2 for yours truly. 7-6.
You make weak bets. I'm just going to start making easy slam dunk bets because that's how you're winning.
You pick all the games.
Well, because I want to make the people money. That's my job.
All right, let's go.
So I was very reluctant to pick this one, but it's the only NHL game that's going on after our show. It's Leafs Senators. And I don't know if anybody knows that Ryan Porth has a bone to pick with the Ottawa Senators because it seems like whatever game he picks or bets on involving the Ottawa Senators, he loses. I feel like that's my version of the Buffalo Sabres. I've just gone against the Buffalo Sabres forever. I'm not betting on them anymore. But I'm betting on them anyways. Leafs money line. So both teams have their starting goalies in net tonight, which was a little bit of a shock. I assumed that Leafs would kind of take off the star power a little bit, seeing as though they have clinched their playoff spot and they are in that number 1 spot in the North. Toronto's won all 7 matchups with Ottawa this season, and Ottawa got absolutely smoked by Calgary on Sunday 6-1. It's a frosty and a half there. The Leafs have a 17-6-3 record on the road, but outside of the goalie, we don't necessarily know who will be starting for Ottawa, which we have seen against the Predators and Carolina on Monday night, that there's a team that could be better than you that just doesn't put their star power out there.
What's the puck line?
A 1.5.
I'm going to take the Leafs -1.5 here.
Okay. Oh, wow. All of a sudden, he's picking the puck line. Wow.
Hey, I took the points with the
Somebody's
Miami
feeling
Heat
ambitious.
Yesterday. I took the Heat yesterday.
It was 2.5.
Yeah, and I took it, and they won. I'm going to take the Leafs -1.5 here. I just think that when you're Ottawa, man, you're just ready to go home.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just pack it in. And I know that, hey, sometimes teams always play hard, and you're playing for your tape and all that kind of stuff. But the Leafs have some legitimate tuning up to do. Not a ton, but they have some legitimate tuning up to do. Ottawa literally has to play this game, and then they get on the planes and they go to Cancun. So I am going to take
spring break.
I am going to take the Leafs -1.5.
I'm going to pull up that line as well.
But think about this. Now, under your theory, under what the rules have dictated, you can win this without me winning it. I can't win this without you winning it.
Correct.
There you go.
So I'm going to start picking the money line.
You do what you want to do.
Maple Leafs -1.5 is +134, and the Maple Leafs money line is -188. I thought it would be a little bit higher than that, but
I'll take the puck line.
All right. Spurs at Nets. I'm taking the Nets -3. That's a -110 line. So the Nets are currently in second place in the Eastern Conference, and they're looking to secure that second spot because they don't want to play the Knicks in the first round of the playoffs.
Why not?
Because the Knicks are very good.
Not used to that.
Right? Something new and exciting. The Lakers went into overtime with the Knicks the other day. The Knicks were on a heater for a while. The Spurs want to secure that 10th place in the East for that final play-in spot. So you're looking at Kevin Durant. He's 6'10", 240. The Spurs just don't have any defenders. They have Lonnie Walker, who could possibly defend Kevin Durant, who's 6'4", and Keldon Johnson, who's 6'5". So when it just comes to just sheer size on the court, take away the team's records and the popularity that they have had so far this season, it just doesn't look so good for the Nets. Or I'm sorry, for the Spurs. So I'm taking the Nets -3.
I'm going to take the same bet. I mean, that one seems pretty straight up. I mean, the Spurs aren't very good. The Nets are very good, and they both have something to play for. The Nets have infinitely more talent. I mean, the Spurs are one of those teams that they lose the star player and they just fall off the earth.
Mm-hmm.
So the Spurs, forget about them. They stink. I'll take the Nets -3 here. This is not fun because these games are pretty easy to pick. Or
I'm just really good at it. Either one. And also, Kyrie may be playing tonight. He's been day-to-day with a concussion, so he may be in the game tonight.
I can't stand Kyrie.
He's not my fave. Not my fave. Yankees Rays tonight.
This is a big line right here.
This is. Yeah, I'm going to take the Yankees money line, and I will pull that up for you right now.
I think it's like -190 or something like that.
-200 Yankees money line. -115 Yankees -1.5. Garrett Cole.
Garrett Cole's been dealing.
Is on the
Colin
mound.
McHugh is not.
Right. Colin McHugh is a 7.61 ERA. Garrett Cole has a 1.61. So, I mean, you can do the interpreting however you would like there. Last time Colin McHugh pitched against the Yankees, he gave up how many? He gave up 5 runs in just over an inning. So, feel good. I was going to take the Yankees money line, but now that I see it, I'm going to go ahead and take the Yankees -1.5.
I am going to take the Rays on the money line here.
Okay.
I think the starting pitching matchup, I think the odds are in my favor here to take. You're talking about the Rays are such dogs right now.
Mm-hmm.
The Yankees, man, are not very good. And Aaron Boone just let out that apparently they have 7 positive COVID tests on staff.
Whoa.
So I don't think that'll affect their team. I'm a little surprised in the day and age of vaccinations that you have 7 staff members that haven't gotten vaccinated. I think that's probably a concern, but that's neither here nor there. But I'm going to take the Rays on the money line. I think the Rays have a better bullpen. I think the Rays have a better team. I think Garrett Cole is that dude, but you know what?
That dude.
Garrett Cole has had his issues with the Rays. So I am going to take the Rays on the money line. I think that's a risky bet.
That is a risky bet.
But I'm going to do it.
And I can't wait to rub it in your face tomorrow.
But I'm going to go ahead and take the Rays. Give me the Rays.
All right. The Yankees have been pretty rough this season, but they've picked it up in the past, 10, 15-ish games. I feel good about it.
Well, you picked it.
Well, yeah, I did, yeah.
Do
you have one for me?
Well, I am going to make a risky pick here.
Oh, okay.
I'm going back to the well on the Dodgers and the Mariners. And right now, a lot of people are picking the Dodgers. The Dodgers are like -220 or something like that. So I am going to take the Seattle Mariners today.
Fun.
The
Who's
Mariners,
pitching?
Jeff Dunn is
Okay.
pitching. I've never heard of this guy. And he is pitching. I think he was involved in that Robinson Cano trade. But I am going to make this pick. And here's why I am going to pick this game. I am picking Seattle because I still think the Dodgers are struggling a little bit after their red-hot start. They had to win yesterday. They did not have a choice. They had to win. Seattle now has a 3-game slide. They're 18-18. Julio Urias is going for the Dodgers. I think that, Seattle's going to recall their top prospect tomorrow. I think that's a punch in the arm that they need. I am going to take Seattle. I think the Mariners get it done, and I like my good odds. So give me the Seattle Mariners money line.
Fun little twist on this one. I was just looking at some of the prop bets for this game. I'm going to take Seattle Mariners under 7.5 plus 550.
So for them to score under 7.5 runs?
Yeah.
Oh, so now you're just going to a prop bet, taking one that's automatically going to hit.
Yeah.
At plus 550.
Yeah.
So now you're just basically just cheating. Now
How is that cheating? That's just being smart.
Because we've never done prop bets. What are you talking about?
I was just
prop
looking
bets?
at them and thought it was fun. If you want to do a prop bet, you can do a prop bet. It's my second, but you can do whatever you want. I allow it.
Judge rules. For today, I will allow it, but I will reconsider this tomorrow.
Well, I would like a third party's decision. This whole judge and participant thing isn't really working for me.
Under 7.5 runs for the.
I actually just placed that bet.
you can appeal the decision to have me be the judge.
I do, but who appeals that decision?
Well,
I'd like
you
Ian
would
to
be
do
doing,
it.
You would be doing the appealing.
Well,
you would be appealing.
Well, who would be approving the appeal? You.
The judge would be hearing the appeal.
See, it just doesn't work for me.
Ask Tom Brady.
I object.
Ask Tom Brady how that worked out with him in the NFL. Because remember,
You are not Tom Brady.
I'm not
Quit
Tom Brady.
comparing yourself to Tom Brady.
I'm comparing you to Tom Brady in this case. I'm the NFL.
Okay.
Remember, Brady.
Well, you're not the NFL either.
Brady wanted somebody else. Brady wanted somebody else to hear his case, and the NFL said, no. They said, well, we'll think about it. We came back, no. And then Brady sued him, and it went to court. And then the court said, no. And you, if you want to take this to court,
I'll take this to Stillman Company court.
Okay. Judge rules. And I would say this, again, I am taking this under advisement for tomorrow as to whether or not I will allow these ridiculous prop bets to
I
hit
mean, it's a prop
that are
bet. People
not-
place prop bets all the time.
I'm going to take this under advisement.
I
but
personally-
advice in general, yes. Those.
First of all, I'm scared and I'm also angry.
Those are Carolines. Oh, I can't wait till the Mariners win money line and they score 8 runs doing it. Oh my goodness. All right, I will predict the Titans' schedule, what we have now, plus what I think will happen. We will have that coming up next. We'll see how many I get right. Hey, guess what? You know what season it is? It's moving season. That's right. If you're needing to move, you need to call my friends at TriStar Moving. At TriStar Moving, you'll get 5-star service throughout the entire process. Everything is taken care of, covering floors, banisters, railings, front door thresholds, and they'll even wrap and protect all of your furniture and put TVs in protective boxes. You know, I got a bunch of TVs. They took a great care of those boxes. They made everything as stress-free as possible. They've got a brand new state-of-the-art storage facility in Mount Juliet. That's right. Their owners, Garrett and Robert, are true Nashvillians, and they care about helping you all immensely. Again, TriStar Moving, 615-640-1219, or their website, nashvillemoving.org/radio. They'll give you 5% off your entire move. That's TriStar Moving, nashvillemoving.org/radio. TriStar Moving, my official movers.
When I was a player, the first thing I looked for was when my bye week was.
Okay.
The second thing I looked for was where I was around Christmas. Was I home or away? The third thing I looked for was where was I on Thanksgiving? Was I home or away? And then maybe you looked for, like, I know guys in New England would look like, am I playing in Miami in September? Or do I get to play in Miami in December or November? So, like, as a player, those were the things I think you looked at, I looked at, and I know many other players looked at.
That was Tim Hasselbeck. Everyone's excited about the schedule release, and there's Tim saying, where was I on Christmas? When was my bye week? Here's what we know about the Titans. The leaks that are official as of now, and again, 7 o'clock tonight is when they will drop the schedule, NFL Network, ESPN. Versus Arizona. That's week 1. That is for sure at Nissan Stadium. Week 4 at the Jets. Week 6 at the Bills. Week 10 versus the Saints, Week 12 at the Patriots, and Week 16 versus San Francisco on Thursday Night Football. We've heard 3 rumors that we don't know. At Seattle Week 2, at Pittsburgh Week 15, versus Jacksonville in Week 5. So I am going to predict the schedule, and I will explain how I go about predicting my schedule, how I worked it, because I think the NFL will probably operate similarly to this. So we start at the top. The first one, week 1 versus Arizona, that already taken care of. Week 2, I'm going to go with at Seattle. I think it'd be weird to open up the season with 2 NFC teams right off the bat. Usually when you want to play, they want the division teams in there somewhere. But for some reason, they're not if they go with Seattle. I was surprised to hear that rumor that Seattle's week 2, but I'm going to go with it because it's better than anything I've got. Week 3 at the Rams. I think that they will do a 1 West Coast road trip. Now, I don't know if the Titans will stay out there. Seattle and Los Angeles are not close to each other. I don't know if you've looked at a map. Now, they certainly are much closer than, say, Nashville is to either, but they're not very close. But again, I'm going to go with at the Rams. They'll get the West Coast swing out of the way. Week 4 at the Jets. So 3 road games in a row. That seems a little odd. So I almost broke up that West Coast trip, but I think the NFL likes doing it like this, where they, you knock out your 2 West Coast trip teams at one time. The Titans did that a couple years ago. They went to Arizona, then they went to San Francisco. I think this is similar. So 3 road games really after the first Arizona game off the bat. Week 5 at home versus Jacksonville. Eventually, you got to play the AFC South sometime. And you got to be at home because you just spent 3 games on the road. You're never going to play 4 games on the road at one time. Week 6 versus Buffalo on Monday Night Football. That's already been confirmed. Week 7, I think the Titans get the bye. So they do their West Coast trip, and then they play a Monday night, and then they get a bye week 7. It's an early bye, but I think they get it, week 8. Week 9 is usually when they get the bye. But week 7, they get the bye. Week 8. At Houston. Week 9 versus Indianapolis. I picked Houston, Indy. At some point, you got to play them. Week 10, we know New Orleans. So 2 in a row at home means I think you go back on the road week 11 to Jacksonville. Now, normally, they put those games towards the bottom of there's usually 2 division games. And you just heard me kind of say, Houston and Indy and Jacksonville, and I believe the last game of the year, and we'll obviously get to that in due time, but I think Indianapolis on the road is the last game of the year. That's the only thing that makes sense, for the NFL to schedule it that way because no one thinks that Houston or Jacksonville is going to compete. So we're at week 10, New Orleans at home. That's already been figured out. Week 11 at Jacksonville. Week 12 at the Patriots. That's a noon kickoff. That's already been decided. Week 13 versus Miami at home. That is a very odd, noon, forgettable kickoff kind of game. Week 14 versus Kansas City on Monday Night Football. I think that they will put Kansas City week 14 Monday night. I think they'll give the Titans another primetime game, but it's not going to be Sunday night. I had hopes before we saw the scheduling getting leaked, that the Titans were going to get a Sunday night game. I'm going to say no Sunday night game this year, but week 14 they get Monday night versus Kansas City. Thank you. doesn't have the buzz, though, that Sunday night has. You hear that
I know.
Sunday night music?
Sunday just hits different.
Week 15 at Pittsburgh. Again, you've got 2 home games in a row, Miami, Kansas City. You go on the road to Pittsburgh, noon start there. Week 16 at home, Thursday night football, San Francisco. It will be interesting for me if the San Francisco game will be Thursday night Fox or Thursday night NFL Network. I think it will be Thursday night Fox. But I think at the beginning of the slate and at the end of the slate is when they go NFL Network exclusives. San Francisco, Tennessee, it could go either way. If it was Tennessee, Houston, if it was Tennessee, Jacksonville, if it was Tennessee, Miami, that would be an NFL Network exclusive. If it was Tennessee, Pittsburgh, Tennessee, Kansas City, Tennessee, anybody else, it probably would be a Fox game. I'm going to say this is a Fox game in Week 16, which leaves 2. Week 17, at home versus the Texans. Now, I think you could turn these around. You could put the Texans at home earlier, but I think there's got to be a division game at the end. Week 17 at home versus the Texans. Week 18 on the road at Indianapolis. I think that they're going to do the at Indianapolis because, again, who else are they going to put in that spot?
Now, I found a spreadsheet from Lions Royalty. It's been following the Detroit Lions schedule leaks, and they have kept up with all the leaks that they had found.
Okay.
So nothing confirmed. But they have Week 1, Arizona. Week 2, Seattle. Week 3, Indianapolis.
Ooh.
Yeah.
At home?
Yes, at home. Week 4, at the Jets. Week 5, at Jacksonville. And then Week 6, Buffalo at home, Monday Night Football. And then we have Week 10, New Orleans at home. Week 12 at New England. Week 13, Jacksonville at home. Week 15 at Pittsburgh. Week 16, 49ers. And finishing out the season, Week 18 against Houston.
No! Why would the league do that?
Well, unconfirmed. This is just what I've seen.
But why would the NFL do that? Tonight, if it comes out that... Now, look, I like it. Let me
they
say
have
for the record.
Jacksonville playing Indianapolis.
Well, that has
Week
to be that
18.
way. But, okay, let me say this. If that happens, if the Titans play the Texans Week 18, I like it because the Texans suck.
I mean, end the season easy.
The Texans will be Cancun on 3. We saw it last year. I mean, the Texans were awful. And the Titans, I mean, in all seriousness, the Titans have gotten into the playoffs the last 2 years because they played the Texans in the last game of the year. So they're going to get the Texans. Oh, my goodness. Why? Unless the NFL's doing this. Unless the NFL is like, we don't want Tennessee, Indianapolis to be a Sunday night football game. We do not want that to be a play into the playoffs because a couple of years ago, that was the only game that mattered was Titans Colts, and that was the Sunday night game. Now, I'm sure they had terrible ratings, not because it was 2 small markets, but 2 small markets, no iconic players, not an iconic franchise, but Marcus Mariota got hurt, and Blaine Gabbert had to quarterback it. And I think they look at this and they're like, we are not putting ourselves in a position to where we are putting Carson Wentz versus Ryan Tannehill on Sunday Night Football. So they are eliminating the possibility. It's like why I don't have cookies in my house. Because if I had cookies in my house, there's a possibility I'd eat them, and 99% of the time I would. So here, they're keeping the cookies out of their house by not putting... I don't know what the NFL is thinking. Titans, Texans last week of the year. Woof.
Ouch. And just comparing that with the Chiefs schedule, it looks like that's either going to be week graphs are hard, 7 or week 11 with the Chiefs.
Let's hope it's 11.
Yeah, week
7
11
would be after Buffalo. I don't want Buffalo than Kansas City.
Right.
Oh, don't do this. Don't do this to the Titans, NFL. All right, that's going to do it for us. We're out of here. Schedule drops tonight. We'll see you tomorrow. Preds Insiders coming up.